In Tampa, the coach is Tony Dungy. Through his understated wisdom and leadership, the Buccaneers have become a rising force in the NFL. Tonight, two of the league's brightest young coaches bring their teams to Canton for the AFC-NFC Hall of Fame game. It's a beautiful early evening in northeastern Ohio. Temperature in the mid-70s, a capacity crowd of 24,000 to look on at a high school field, Fawcett Stadium, as the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm Al Michaels. Welcome to what is, in effect, the beginning of our 29th season of Monday Night Football. Traditionally, we begin on a Saturday, and this year for the first time at night. We told you about the 5 enshrinees for the Hall of Fame. During the course of the telecast, we'll meet each of them individually. We'll also see what we think will be a pretty good preseason matchup. Both teams with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations. The Steelers got to within 3 points of going to the Super Bowl last year, losing to Denver in the AFC Championship game. And the Buccaneers went to the playoffs for the first time in 15 years, won a wild card game against Detroit before being eliminated by Green Bay. So each team trying to get just a little bit better. Great to be back for the 12th year in a row with Dan Dierdorf. Dan, this is your hometown, and there's no better place for us to start than in the birthplace, the cradle of pro football.
Really, Alan, what a weekend this is, not only for the city of Canton, but for these 5 gentlemen that now swell the rolls of honorees here at the Hall of Fame to 194. And when you stop and think about that they've played this game of professional football here in the United States for nearly 80 years, that is really a very minute number of people to be honored in the Hall of Fame. We have a wide receiver, 2 offensive linemen, a linebacker, and a safety that make this year's class of 5. Some of them went in on the first ballot, like Mike Singletary and Anthony Munoz. Some, like Tommy McDonald, had to wait for nearly 25 years. And in Canton, Ohio, they have found a city that loves the game of professional football and reveres the men that played it. And, Al, I sense something different here in our booth. I'm not quite sure what it is. Can you put your finger on it?
You know, our pal Frank Gifford is deserting us this year. Frank will be co-hosting the pregame show during the regular season. And thus, in from the great white north.
There I look over here.
By way of the Cincinnati Bengals and the University of Maryland is one Boomer Esiason, and a new partner. Boomer, welcome.
Well, it's great to be here, and I'll tell you, I can't tell you how excited I am. And, you know, to be here with you guys, to be revered by you guys is what's really important to me. But today is doubly special for me because one of my former teammates, Anthony Munoz, had to be inducted today in the Canton Hall of Fame. And he was inducted by his son in a very impassioned speech. And it really meant so much to me. And I can tell you right now that this is going to be a different booth, guys. So you better hold on. It's going to be a fun year.
Among other things, we're looking for a fun year. But keep in mind, you are a rookie. And thus, as we go to commercial, Dan and I each like our coffee with 1 sugar.
Okay, I'll be right back.
You got it. Okay. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. We'll hear from Bill Cowher when we tee it up in Canton, Ohio after this. Is a woman who has done yeoman work at CBS and at ESPN and with us on recent Pro Bowls here at ABC, and she'll be patrolling the sidelines all year. Leslie Visser. Great to have you with us, Leslie.
Thanks, Al. I am so thrilled to be aboard, especially in Dan's hometown. I'm hoping that his mom, who only lives about a mile from here, will have us all over for a barbecue. Well, I'm joined by Bill Cowher, a bearded Bill Cowher. Bill, every year you lose top assistants, you lose great players. What do you like about this team to maintain the standard of going to the playoffs?
Well, there's still a good core here, Leslie. I mean, you're looking at some players that have high expectations based on last year. We've had a good training camp. It's been very focused and kind of businesslike.
You have a new coordinator, Ray Sherman. How will that affect Cordell?
Well, I think it's going to be good. You know, you talk about players, but the 5 games for Ray is going to let him get comfortable with this, and it's been a good process. There's going to be some little kinks that we'll have to iron out. That's what the 5 preseason games are for, and this will be a good way to start.
Few audibles here and there. Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Well, Al, you mentioned before that they lost to Denver by 3 points. Their motto this year is 3 more points.
3 more points, and they would win their first Super Bowl since the Chuck Noll era in the 70s. Jaquez Green, a second-round choice. They did not have a number 1 choice in Tampa. He was their top pick. Back to receive, Josh Miller to kick it off. And the Hall of Fame game under the lights in Canton, Ohio is underway. The kick bounces at the 11, and some miscommunication there as it bounces out of bounds. A break for Tampa Bay as they let it bounce, and had it dribbled and stayed in bounds, they would have been pinned deep. As Trent Dilfer gets ready to come out and take the helm at least for a couple of series. The first unit should be in for about a quarter. Dilfer, who had 3 bad years, followed it up with a fine year last year, as those numbers would indicate, leading them to the playoffs. Warwick Dunn and Lorenzo Neal for the injured Mike Allstott in the backfield. Anthony and Bert Emanuel, the newcomer, the wideouts, and Patrick Hape, the tight end. Gruber, Diaz, Mayberry, Middleton, and Odom up front. Gruber's been around for 11 years. Mayberry went to the Pro Bowl last year. From the 40-yard line, after the kickoff went out of bounds, Dilfer to throw on first down, something he rarely did last year, and it's incomplete. The intended receiver was the tight end Patrick Hape. It'll be 2nd down and 10, and Levon Kirkland put the pressure on, coming off a Pro Bowl season. Let's look at that Steeler alignment. They play a 3-4. Harrison, Gibson for the injured Joel Steed, who'll be back next week, and Kevin Henry up front. Then the linebackers, Gilden, Kirkland, an emerging star, Holmes and Emmons. And then the secondary, Carnell Lake is starting the preseason as a corner with Dwayne Washington. Perry and Flowers are the safeties. Lake has been an all-pro at safety, and this is the 3rd different time in his career they've moved him to cornerback. This is Warwick Dunn, the second-year back, who had a fabulous rookie season out of Florida State, picking up 9. He stopped there by Darren Perry. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
You know, one of the things, Al, that I saw last year was that Trent Dilfer didn't really throw much on first down. They come out the first preseason game. That's probably something that they're going to want to establish. But how about Pittsburgh blitzing on the first play in a preseason game? What's going on out there?
That shouldn't come as a surprise. The Pittsburgh Steelers pride themselves on their defensive play. And, of course, they know they're being attacked. Jim Haslett there, their defensive corner, by the last place offensive team in the National Football League, 29th overall, 30th against the pass. That's not good for Tampa. They've got to improve.
3rd and 1, and Warwick Dunn runs into traffic and may have lost the football as well. If nothing else, even if he recovers, he doesn't appear to have the first down. Tony Dungy looking on, and he'll have to send in his punting unit here, as they do keep possession. So Dilfer wearing a look of frustration as he leaves. Kirkland, who blitzed on the first play, and the defense walks off the field. And Tommy Barnhart to punt for Tampa Bay. Henry Bailey, who was going to make this team last year as a return man, but then was hurt at the end of preseason and couldn't play, is healthy again, and they hope he can make a difference. Barnhart, a high, short floating kick. And it's fielded at the 19-yard line there and downed at that spot. As the Pittsburgh Steelers come in with their offensive unit, led by Cordell Stewart. The one-time Slash, he was known as Slash because he could play quarterback, running back, or wide receiver, but now the full-time quarterback led them into the AFC Championship game last year. The first man in history to rush for more than 20 touchdowns, or more than 10 touchdowns, while passing for more than 20. Bettis and Whitman in the backfield, Blackwell and Johnson outside, and Bruner is the tight end. Strelzik moves from right tackle to left tackle, then Duffy, Dawson, Stye, and Stevens up front. Dawson someday will be back in Canton to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, the best center in the league. On first down, it's the bus going nowhere. He is detoured back of the line of scrimmage at the 19-yard line. The Tampa Bay defense, and it was the strength of their team last year and figures to be again this season. Ahanitu and Sapp each in double figures in sacks, with Culpepper and Upshaw up front. Then the linebackers, Gooch, Nickerson, a former Steeler, and Derek Brooks, who went to the Pro Bowl. Abraham and Parker are the corners. Lynch, who went to the Pro Bowl last year, and Mincy are the safeties. On 2nd and 11, they give it to the bus again, and he picks up 3 up to the 22. Culpepper makes the tackle, and a typical beginning for Pittsburgh's offensive unit.
Yeah, Jerome Bettis, the bus this time operating without its driver. Tim Lester, their normal starting fullback, had shoulder surgery. He'll be back around the start of the regular season. It's John Whitman who's getting the call as his lead blocker. But this is the crispest, the most crisp blocking offensive line in football with the running game. I don't think I've seen a team over the last 3 or 4 years that executes as well as the Steelers do up front when it comes to running the football.
3rd down and 7. Stewart operates out of the shotgun. Tampa with a 4-man rush, and Cordell takes off. Has to get to the 29 for the first down and gets cut by Derek Brooks to create a 4th down situation.
Those are the things that make Cordell Stewart so dangerous, is that he could take off at any given time. One of those things that they're trying to, maybe they're not going to try to take it away from him, but they'd like them to be a little bit more of a pocket passer, a little bit better on the intermediate and short passing game. That's almost impossible to defend sometimes when he gets outside of the pocket.
Each team 3 and out. Marvin Marshall making sure he's got 10 guys out in front of him to block, and Josh Miller to punt for Pittsburgh. Miller drops the snap, starts to take off, and down he goes at the 18-yard line. Roger Duffy was the snapper.
Well, it was a bad snap to start with, Al. It was soft, it was low, it had very little on it. And Miller, it looked like he could have gotten it away. We got somebody hurt. Is that Miller?
That's Miller. You know, these punters are not too adept at running away from people.
No. It's not something that Josh Miller nor Bill Cowher wants him to have to do.
So for Pittsburgh, 3 and out, then a botched punt attempt and an injury to Miller. Back in a moment. Any coach would want to see after the first series in preseason their punter, and at least for tonight their kickoff man, assisted off the field.
Miller trying to evade. Watch his left ankle as he plants it right here. You see how he rolls right over the top of that? And we can only hope that he's got loose ligaments and everything in that ankle to begin with, because he puts a tremendous amount of strain on it right there as he goes over the top of it.
And thus Tampa takes over at the Pittsburgh 18, and Dilfer goes to the air, and the pass is caught by Lorenzo Neal, the former Saint and Jet, who was picked up from New York. Mike Allstott is hurt and won't play until the end of preseason play, and so Neal gets in a lot of action early. Miller will get assisted back to the locker room, and Kirkland made the play here.
You know, the thing I like here is that Tampa Bay now has thrown twice on first down. Every quarterback would rather throw the ball on first down. 36% of the time last year, the lowest in the league, they threw on first down. So this is a good sign for Trent Dilfer.
Second down and 7 from the 15-yard line. Warrick Dunn takes it inside the 9. Warrick Dunn, one of the smaller backs in the league, 5'8" and 178, but a workhorse.
He carried the ball, 224 times last year. Had 39 receptions, and when you consider all of that production from a guy that weighs less than 180 pounds, this is a big man's game. And when a small guy excels at it, I have nothing but admiration for him.
He reminds me a lot of an old teammate of mine. James Brooks was the same way, and he always wants the ball. He's a very active player with the football in his hand, and he can do a lot of different things.
Third down and 1. They did not convert the last time they had a 3rd and 1, and this time they may not have again, as Dunn gets stopped after a minimal gain, if any, by Jason Gilden.
Tony Dungy told us yesterday that it was about a third of the way through the season last year when he stopped counting the number of times that Warrick Dunn carried the football. He said, I went into it thinking we can't give it to him to, maybe more than 15 times a game. But he said he carried it one game 25 times. He told me he was fine, didn't miss any practice time from that point on. Just let him carry it and let him see what he gets done with it.
You know, the interesting thing about looking at their offensive personnel, guys, is that they've actually added guys that look a lot like Warrick Dunn. They want the Florida players, the Florida college players in their offense. They're explosive. They want to put points on the board. And they felt that their passing game was lacking big playability. So now with Riedel Anthony coming back after a pretty good rookie season, this could be a very explosive offensive team if they allow Trent to throw the ball on first down and use a good play-action passing, because this is a good running football team.
Well, they have a hammer, but he's hurt. As Al mentioned, Mike Allstott is out. This would be an Allstott situation, and he's not here.
And there is Mike, who suffered a hip injury in minicamp and is expected to play at the end of the month and be ready for the start of the regular season. 4th and inches now, and they line up to go for it. From the 9, Dilfer gives it to Dunn, and he picks up the first down. He needed just a couple of inches behind a block by Lorenzo Neal. Flowers comes up to make the tackle, but it'll be first down and goal 6 minutes into the game.
The addition of Lorenzo Neal will now also allow Mike Allstott to line up a little bit in the eye behind Lorenzo Neal. Lorenzo was, a free agent or trade with the New York Jets, and he was a bruising fullback in New York, and this is exactly what Tony Dungy was looking for.
Put 250 pounds of good squared-up shoulder blocking out in front of Warrick Dunn. That's exactly what he's looking for. You're right, Boomer.
First down and goal. That's Anthony in motion to the same side as the newly acquired Emmanuel. And takes it to the 5-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. Nolan Harrison, the right end, makes the stop for Pittsburgh.
I don't know how many more times you want to run in the middle to Levon Kirkland, though.
Well, there's a reason, and number 99 is one of those reasons. The Steelers were the best team against the run in the National Football League last year.
Bill Cowher will tell you, as every coach will, the center of a defense is the most important part. And with Joel Steed and Levon Kirkland right up the middle, it makes it very difficult to run against them.
Bill loves the center on either side of the ball. Also, the strength of his offensive team up the middle. Dawson, Stewart, Bettis. 2nd down and goal from the 5-yard line. Short drop, and then the pass into the end zone is incomplete, and Bird Emanuel gets up looking for a flag and doesn't find one. 3rd down. Darren Perry and Dwayne Washington, the newly acquired corner from Minnesota, sandwiched them.
Now, as a quarterback down here, what you want to do, you want to keep the ball low. And all the receivers will tell you, throw it low, throw it low. We don't want to have our ribs exposed.
Kind of the opposite of that throw?
You want to keep the ball low down here if you can. And I'm sure Burt will go back to Trent probably next Monday and say, hey, buddy, you want to keep that ball down a little bit for me?
Or I'm going back to Atlanta. 3rd down and goal from the 5. No score, 7:56 into the game. Here come the Steelers. Dilfer under pressure, throws, and almost has it picked off by Kirkland.
Oh, and Kirkland's got good hands, too. You might think, you know, guys. Even though a guy is that big, he is agile, and he's got soft hands. This is a kind of an interception that Levon Kirkland will normally have.
Look how big that guy is. He is amazing. And the thing about it is he stays on the field for 3rd down in the nickel situation as well.
Well, that ball was a little farther outside than I originally thought. That would have been a great interception. He got the hand on it and almost pulled it in. This is as fine an inside linebacker as there is in the NFL right now.
They say he's 280. I think he looks a little bit bigger than that, don't you, Dan?
Well, he's not real tall. Now, that's
23-yard field goal attempt now for Michael Husted, and whistles blow. Mike Carey is the referee. His crew officiated the game.
5 seconds on the play clock. The snap was delayed by our administration. 5 seconds on the play clock, please.
They have administration down on the field now, guys.
Absolutely.
What is that?
was he delayed by the current administration or by whose administration?
5 seconds.
We'll look that one up.
That's a new one.
They didn't tell us that in the rules meeting today, did they?
No. Very few rules changes this year, by the way, and just a little tweaking here and there, and as they develop.
Bear in mind, it's preseason for everybody.
Yep. As they develop, we'll tell you about them. Mike Carey asking the play clock to go back to 25, and now Houston out of Tommy Barnhart's hole. 23-yard field goal attempt, and the kick is good. So they capitalized on the botched punt. 7:46 left in the opening quarter. Tampa Bay leading Pittsburgh 3-0. Cool off the players, hot air balloons in the sky, and temperature in the 70s. It's the first time this game has been played at night in Canton.
I played here back in 1988, and it must have been 115 degrees on the field.
I remember that game. It normally is in the 80s or 90s. Terrific weather tonight as Henry Bailey goes back to receive the kick along with Jaheen Arnold. And it's brought on to the 21-yard line. A little confusion, but the Steelers still have the football. 7:37 left in the opening period. 3-0 Tampa Bay. Esiason and Leslie Visser. And
how about that?
Clearly Cheryl Esiason sent that by FedEx earlier today.
Right, I don't know about that, but well, you know, I love Me Too. What the heck?
Oh, we're so happy for both of you. We hope you live happily ever after.
Yeah, well,
are you settling in here a little bit?
I'm a little nervous right now.
That's all right.
He's thinking of unretiring in October. From the 21-yard line, Cordell Stewart under pressure, and he is sacked back at the 11-yard line. Charles Mincy coming through on the safety blitz.
Al, that's the kind of thing that should tell him he's made the right decision. Nobody's going to run into you and knock you down up here.
Well, these are the things that you don't expect in preseason, and the thing about it is you don't get a chance to look at the other team's film prior to your first preseason game. So here comes the safety out of the secondary. Really, the receiver out here at the bottom of the screen should have adjusted, but Cordell's not kind of expecting that right now. So we'll give him that one.
You work on basics the first couple of weeks of training camp. you don't do a lot of blitz pickup, and it's obvious.
2nd and 18. The Steelers still looking for their first down, and that's dropped. Mitch Lyons, their number 2 tight end, dropping it. 3rd and long. Let's check in with Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Well, Al, as you know, there is a new instant replay being tested in preseason, and what will happen is the coach will issue the challenge by pressing a button, this is sort of like Maxwell Smart, on his watch. That will activate a page that the referee will wear. It's buzzing as I speak. Then the referee will go over and ask the coach what the challenge is that he wants for instant replay. Then he will consult with the officials. Then the referee will come over to this monitor where he will review different angles of the play. After that, he will have 90 seconds from the time he comes to this monitor to determine the result. Al, it'll be the fastest minute and a half in sports.
Yeah, well, it was the longest minute and a half for Bill Cowher on this series as Regan Upshaw comes in to sack Cordell Stewart back inside the 10-yard line. And that replay situation that Leslie was talking about is something that is only an experiment during preseason play, will not be implemented during the regular season.
You know, that time Warren Sapp came up the middle and forced Cordell out of the pocket to his right. The great thing about the Tampa Bay Bucs defense is how much speed they have. They're not very large up front, but they are quick.
4th down and 24, and with Miller having been hurt earlier, Matt George, a rookie from Chapman College in Southern California, comes in to do the punting. This time the snap is good. The kick is long, but a low liner, and Marshall set up for a run back. Fields at the 50-yard line. Runs parallel along the 45, showing some nifty moves, still on his feet, and takes it to the 42. So Marshall, the kid trying to win a job, 3rd-year guy out of South Carolina State. Impressive there, taking it to the 42. As Tampa takes over with 6:18 to go in the quarter, and the Bucs ahead by 3. Tap on the right-hand side there is done for the night. We're going to see Scott Milanovich a little bit later, but for the moment, Steve Walsh becomes the Bucs quarterback here. Tampa Bay has it at the 42-yard line. Steve Walsh, much traveled out of the University of Miami, started his career with the Cowboys in '89, and his first pass is a little high, intended for Hape. You've heard about quarterbacks with half gun will travel. Walsh has brains will travel. Dallas, New Orleans, Chicago, St. Louis, and now Tampa Bay. This Hall of Fame game is being brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. There is light after 4 doors. Miller Lite, new label, same great taste at Miller time. And Nike.
Everybody's just got to calm down a little bit. All the quarterbacks are a little bit nervous. Ball sailing on them. You know, and that's expected early on.
2nd and 10 at the 42. And this is Jerry Ellison. Boomer, I mentioned half brain will travel, and I'm talking about the fact Steve Walsh doesn't have the greatest arm or the greatest physical ability, but he's been a very worthwhile guy as a backup quarterback for several teams.
Absolutely. He's extremely cerebral. He knows the game very well. He can handle the huddle, and he can also handle, he has the poise if he has to go in there in a big game to take this team down and score. And he's obviously no threat to Trent Dilfer right now, but there are a couple other guys, Jeff Fromm being one of them, that would like to take this man's job out here on the field.
And we'll see Fromm before the night is done. In fact, we'll see him before too long. 3rd down and 6 at the 38-yard line. Walsh floats one, and it's caught as he throws an out pattern to the far side. It is caught for a first down by Carl Williams.
Quarterbacks don't really have to have a gun to be effective. You just have to know when to throw it on time, and get the ball there before the defender has a chance to make a play on it. And you can see right here, Steve Walsh delivers the ball right on the money to Carl Williams. Carl does a good job of coming back and shielding the ball from the defender. See, Dan, you would never know that because you were always on the offensive line.
And thank God you're here to enlighten me.
From the 29-yard line, Walsh. And that's a 5-yard pickup. Horace Copeland, the receiver. You didn't think you could get away with that, Boomer, did you?
Well, you know, as we both know, that it all starts at the offensive line, doesn't it, Dan?
Oh, now we're going to be a little gratuitous here, huh?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Well, we'll accept gratuitous anytime you want to offer a little.
Well, I've always felt that the most important people in my career were the offensive linemen.
You should think so watching Anthony Munoz go in the Hall of Fame today.
Absolutely.
I should have brought it all back to you.
It did. As a matter of fact, I felt like going out and playing a little tackle football today after seeing that.
A little later, we'll talk to Anthony and all 5 enshrinees one by one during the course of the telecast tonight. Second down at 4 from the 23-yard line. And this is Jerry Ellison. Ellison, the backup to Warwick Dunn, 4th-year back out of Tennessee Chattanooga, stopped there by Dante Jones, about a yard shy of the first down. Well, our next preseason game will be in prime time on a Monday night. In fact, 2 weeks from Monday, we'll go to Mexico City, our annual visit to the old Estadio Azteca, as the Dallas Cowboys take on the New England Patriots from Mexico at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and that will also be our new starting time during the regular season for Monday Night Football. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. As Gophers throws, or Walsh throws, and Andrew Jordan makes the catch, and that's a first down.
There is Michael Munoz, who was Anthony Munoz's presenter here today, and what a sterling speech he made in presenting his father. This young man is going to be, what, a junior at Cincinnati Moeller High School?
He's bigger than his dad is right now, and he's just as powerful, and he's a dominating offensive lineman for really one of the best high school football programs in all of America, Moeller High School.
Every college in America will be after young Mr. Munoz.
We'll try to get him to go to Maryland. I don't think they'll go, though.
Not a bad baseball program either. That's where Ken Griffey Jr. went to school. 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Ellison tries to cut it off on the backside and goes nowhere, running into 3 Steelers led by Carlos Emmons.
And we talked about a little bit about the Tampa offense. I really like what Mike Shula is doing here early on. He's trying to get his quarterbacks involved early in the game. You know, you don't really want to have your quarterback in the 4th quarter not have a lot of throws under his belt. You want to be able to get him in the flow of the game. And I think this is something that they're going to work on this year, trying to allow Trent or Steve Walsh or whoever the quarterback on the field is to get in the flow of the game by completing short, quick passes.
Shula, very young, 33 years old, a coordinator, of course, hired by Tony Dungy, who was a coordinator in this league at 28.
Tony was hired by Chuck Noll to be the Steelers defensive coordinator, as Ellison picks up a couple to the 13. And it will be 3rd down. And speaking of Shula, parent feast, there is the master himself, Don Shula, who was enshrined last year in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he is a party to one of the groups attempting to become the new owners of the Cleveland Browns, who begin play again in the National Football League next season.
I think to Shula's right was, to our right was Bob Greasy, and to his left, Val Pinchbeck. And yes, there's a hot competition going on, Al, to see who will own the new Browns franchise.
To be determined probably by the middle of September. 3rd down and 8 as Walsh guns one incomplete. Riedel Anthony couldn't hold on. He was covered by the former Dolphin and the much-traveled J.B. Brown, and it's 4th down.
Now that time, really, Riedel had to really give Steve Walsh his shoulders and show him where he could throw the ball. Steve felt a little pressure on the inside, so he wants to throw it low and on the outside. Not a very accurate throw, but I can understand where Steve was actually trying to throw the ball at that particular point.
Tommy Barnhart will hold.
Now a 31-yard field goal attempt. Tommy Barnhart holding for Michael Husted. Husted has accounted for all of the scoring in the game to this point. And timeout is called here with 1:36.
Tampa only has 10 guys out on the field
remaining in the quarter. Good idea to call the timeout at that point. Husted's attempt when we come back. Buccaneers took a timeout because they had only 10 men on the field, and now with 11, Husted lines up to attempt a 31-yard field goal. Tampa leading 3-0 in the waning moments of the opening quarter. And Husted is 2 for 2.
In preseason, you like to have practice, but you don't want to have to practice your field goal team all the time. You'd like to get some touchdowns.
You'd rather be practicing extra points.
Absolutely. You can do the same thing, but again, I think both of these teams are still trying to feel what kind of offensive system that they want to be a part of. Do they want to be a hard-charging running game, or do they want to be an explosive passing game?
So 2 drives bogged down. Husted accounts for 6 points. And we can tell you that from the director of Men in Black and Get Shorty, Bo Bridges stars in Maximum Bob. The press calling it the best new show since Ally McBeal. Maximum Bob premieres this Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 9 Central, right here on ABC.
There's a group sitting up in the stands. To the right, that's Jerry Burns, the former coach of the Minnesota Vikings, presented Paul Krause. In the middle, in the back, Pete Elliott, former executive director of the Hall of Fame. John Bankert, the current executive director, on the left. And in the center, the great Willie Lanier, one of the great linebackers ever to step on a football field, and, of course, a Hall of Famer.
Nice story about Willie Lanier and Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary said that when he was a kid, he turned on a television set and he saw this middle linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs named Willie Lanier, and he said, I want to be like Willie.
Well, he originally wanted to be like a quarterback, and then he decided that.
You know, Boomer, it's hard for you to imagine, but not everyone aspired to be a quarterback.
Husted's kick is fielded by Andre Coleman. And Coleman, who ran a kickoff back for a touchdown in the Super Bowl as a San Diego Charger against the 49ers after the '94 season, brings it back out to the 29.
Oh, so you're going to tell me that before an offensive lineman's foot gets to size 16, he's not thinking about being a quarterback?
That really is your normal thought process, isn't it?
The Buck defense, they've been tough. 2 sacks on the last series. There was the first. Charles Mincy on a safety blitz. And then Stewart, flushed out of the pocket by Sapp and others, gets sacked by Regan Upshaw. And thus Pittsburgh has done nothing offensively. Stewart stays in the game at the 29-yard line. He figured to play a couple of series, and this is his 3rd. And he throws, and it's caught by Mark Bruner. You know, Boomer, it's one of those situations where I think a coach may go in and say, okay, just 2 series for my starter, but after those 2 series, maybe he wants to see a 3rd.
Well, I think really what he's trying to do now is just try to get him in a rhythm. He doesn't want to take him out of the game now where he's had a couple sacks. He's been running all over the place. So he wants to get the ball inside. He wants to work on the short passing game that Ray Sherman is putting in right now. And this is something just to get a little flow going for Cordell.
For Sherman as well as Cordell at this point, 2 second down and 1 at the 38-yard line. And it's Jerome Bettis slanting to the right side and very close to a first down. He was tripped up by Tyoka Jackson.
But coaches love to build on something, and your point's well made, Al. There's no way that Cordell Stewart and this offensive team is coming out of this football game until they get something accomplished. Yes, it's more playing time than maybe Bill Cowher had in mind coming in here today, but he wants to see some productivity before they get to go sit down.
Preseason games are funny that way, too, because the players don't want to leave either unless they've done something positive. And I know from watching the other side, Trent Dilfer probably feels a little bit like, you know, he didn't get anything done as well.
We'll do it after the next play, Al.
Third, I know Craig Janoff just punched that shot up, so I say his name on third down and 1. You saw Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala. There he is, and we'll see him. He'll spell Bettis a little later.
Fuamatu Ma'afala.
We're just calling FM. That's the end of the quarter.
That?
6-0 Tampa Bay. Back we come to Canton after this message and a word from our ABC stations. As we start the second quarter, Al Michaels, Dan Dierdorf, Boomer Esiason, and Leslie Visser. Alan Faneca, the Steelers' #1 draft choice out of LSU, just reported a couple of days ago. And they throw him right into action with Mike Quinn at quarterback and George Jones at running back. So the Steelers went with their first unit to the first quarter. And now Quinn is the QB. Jones takes Bettis' place as the primary running back. And we'll see guys like Faneca and others up front.
As you watch the Tampa Bay defense, you'll see 8 guys around the ball. Tony Dungy preaches and preaches about pursuit and getting to the ball. And you'll see a lot of guys around the tackle.
Mike Quinn, his numbers in the NFL Europe League, where he played for the Rhine Fire this year, and had an outstanding season. Throws, and that's caught by Mitch Ryan up at the 44, but he drops the ball, and it's ruled incomplete.
Yeah, Quinn took the Rhine Fire to the championship game of NFL Europe. He didn't play in the championship game because he hurt his ankle. And after consulting with the Steelers and with the training camp being right around the corner, they held him out of the game. But you saw his numbers there. This is a kid that has a really nice future in this league.
Does a nice job of stopping the receiver with the football. and hits him right in the numbers. Nice accuracy. Bill Cowher said he's a nice athlete. He's got a good, strong arm and a real good sense about him.
3rd down and 10. He'd have to beat out Mike Tomczak to be the number 2 quarterback. They set up a screen, and that's dropped by George Jones. So no gain on a running play, then 2 incompletions, and it's 4th down.
You have to keep your eye on the ball when it's being thrown to you. Most important thing is to concentrate. That time Jones took his eye off the ball, was looking downfield to see who was coming to hit him. Take a look right here and watch Jones just look upfield. He's trying to get around the corner before he actually catches the ball.
Sometimes it's hard to turn those shoulders without the head going with it, isn't it?
I always told the guy, just catch it. It's going to hurt either way, so it doesn't matter.
Matt George to kick. Josh Miller, their number 1 punter, went out in the first quarter with a sprained ankle, and a good angle kick. And it's touched inside the 10-yard line and then goes out of bounds, and the ball is going to belong to Tampa.
This is what special teams coaches like to talk about, is directional kicking, kicking the ball towards the sideline, reducing the field that you have to cover, and there's a lot of people in a small area, and things like this actually happen.
You saw the ball bounce off of Brian Kelly, the rookie cornerback. It's in play, but fortunately for Tampa, it bounces out of bounds.
You'll only see in Canton, Ohio, for an NFL game, the freebies, the people up on the hillside looking on at Fawcett Stadium. A little slice of Americana to begin preseason play every year. And for Tampa Bay, it's from the 7-yard line on 1st down, and Steve Walsh throws, and it's caught by Horace Copeland up near the 17, a little shy of the 1st down. And here's Leslie Visser.
Al, he holds a record that may never be broken, 81 career interceptions. Congratulations to you, safety Paul Krause. Paul, Bud Grant said that when you were acquired, he went to a zone defense. Can you talk about your strength as sort of football center fielder?
Well, actually, I was a center fielder in baseball, too, and he probably thought that I could go from sideline to sideline. That's what they expected me to do. You know, go deep middle and then go from sideline to sideline and coffin corner to coffin corner. That was a long time ago, so I had a little bit of speed to do that. But he just said, don't get beat deep and don't allow the big, fast touchdowns and the quick scores. And that's what we did with our defense.
Well, you did do that, and this is, of course, a very special day for you. Your wife was in a serious auto accident in 1995. She was in a coma for 5 months, a brainstem injury. What did it mean to you to have her here today?
Well, it's just phenomenal. She made the statement, I'd say right after I was announced that I was going into the Hall of Fame, that God didn't want her to, she didn't want me to be inducted until she was able to come. And so it worked out that way. And she was able to be here, and it's just been fantastic. It's just a great year for us.
A very powerful story. Congratulations. Back to you, Al.
Thank you, Leslie. You know, Leslie started with Paul by saying he holds a record that is not likely to be broken, and it's one of the old cliches in sports. Records are made to be broken, but maybe not that one.
Well, next in line is Ronnie Lott. You saw Paul Krause had 81 career interceptions. Ronnie Lott has 63. And when you stop and think about that differential, you're right. That record may never be broken. More controlled passing now, shorter routes.
The game has changed so much that the leading active interceptor is Eugene Robinson. Now with Atlanta toward the end of his career is on 3rd and 3. Bryce Hunter is the intended receiver, and that's incomplete. So because of the changes in the passing game, it's very likely that Krause's record will last forever.
Well, the other thing, too, is his players aren't lasting quite as long as they used to. I mean, he was a great center fielder, as he said, and he had the ability to really break on the ball, and he understood how to, go after the ball. And it's something that isn't taught. You can't be coached that way. It has to be something that is within you, where you can go actually after the football and make a play.
There's a lot of people, though, in Minnesota that find it hard to believe that Paul Krause had to wait this long to be enshrined in Canton.
Gone. Here's Chad Kessler with a punt that is 37 yards on the fly, but bounces back toward Tampa Bay territory and is down at the 48. So Pittsburgh takes over near midfield. 12 minutes to go in the first half. 6-0 Bucs.
even though he's got, I think, formidable competition in Quinn and Gonzalez, I'd be mighty surprised if Mike Tomczak isn't pretty firmly established as the backup quarterback. There's Pete Gonzalez, their rookie from Pittsburgh. I think Mike is the guy that Bill Cowher wants to turn to if he needs it.
Take a look at that. You can see the rushing plays and passing plays, the same exact percentage to 1,000th of a point in 1996 and 1997. To a 100th of a point. Might be to 1,000th as well, as Curtis Marsh has a first down to the 29-yard line.
And while Quinn might be the future backup, and he's playing well tonight, you know, this is a Super Bowl caliber team right here. And Mike Tomczak is going to be asked if Cordell Stewart goes down to go in there and play. They're going to want more of a seasoned veteran. But I will tell you, you can see Quinn puts the ball right on the money here. He's got good accuracy, and Bill Cowher said he has a real strong arm, and we're seeing that so far.
This is also a team that's got a lot of quality receivers. A good look there at Curtis Marsh.
From the 30-yard line, George Jones. And they better have a lot of quality receivers because they lost a guy who went to the Pro Bowl last year. The Steelers, now noted for being a good team year after year despite a lot of losses, lose, among others, Yancey Thigpen.
And 1,400 yards in receptions, 79 catches last year. The other hole they have to fill was on the left side of their offensive line, where they lost offensive tackle John Jackson.
So Charles Johnson, he'll be expected to pick up the slack. Thigpen, Jackson, Bell, Wolford, and Lloyd were all regular starters, meaning they started 8 or more games for the Steelers last year. And Quinn throws, and that's incomplete, intended for Mitch Lyons.
You look at that graphic, and you see that. That doesn't even count Chad Brown, Rod Woodson, Kevin Green, all the Pro Bowlers that have played for the Steelers. So that leads me back to what is the one constant. And the one constant is Bill Cowher. He is really, in my estimation, probably one of the top 4 coaches in the NFL. He's been in the playoffs 6 consecutive years. He's won the AFC Central 4 times. And, you know, talking to him yesterday got me all jacked up. I mean, this is the type of motivator he is, and he's done a good job keeping his guys focused and motivated.
3rd down and 8, and it starts at the very top with the owner, Dan Rooney.
And a guy named Tom Donahoe, a guy that's, you know, maybe gets less play than anybody else. Their director of football operations, Tom Donahoe, one of the 2 or 3 best personnel people in the National Football League. Every year seems to hit a home run in the draft and in the free agent market.
Well, I guess he was wine and dined by Seattle.
Yeah.
And, you know, he realized that he had a good thing going in Pittsburgh. They have such great tradition there for the Steelers. They have great fans. And, you know, really, when you look at Bill Cowher and Tom Donahoe and you look at the people that they have, this is perfect for this city.
Now Matt George will attempt a 46-yard field goal. Norm Johnson is their regular kicker in uniform, but not kicking here. And George's kick is good. So Matt George trying to win a job and has a golden opportunity as you look at Johnson. Johnson's job is not in jeopardy, but maybe Josh Miller's is. And this kid, George, can punt and kick, and he proves he can kick field goals right there from 46. Tampa Bay 6, Pittsburgh 3.
Fans, we offer a special Hall of Fame thank you to Kashimi Enterprises.
It's that time again. The sale you've been waiting for is back, and it's...
I'd like to have another shot at that one.
So those are one of those things as a quarterback, you get back there, you know your guy's going to be wide open. And Carl stumbled as he came out of his break. He made an inside fake against the safety and ran right past him.
I think Walsh is responding here a little bit to you guys talking earlier about maybe he doesn't have a real strong arm.
I never said that. He said that.
Oh, Al said that.
Al said that.
Well, that was a pretty fine throw by Steve Walsh.
I believe the motion was seconded. 2nd down and 10. Walsh would admit it from the 35-yard line. This is Ellison to the 42-yard line. Stopped there by Deshae Townsend.
Again, I go back to the way Mike Shula is calling his game. I mean, play action pass on 1st down, going for it all. These are the type of things that Tony Dungy was telling us yesterday that he wants his team to get to. He wants the big play back in the passing game. And if he can get that kind of situation going like he just did there, this is bodes well, very well for the Tampa offense.
Dilfer finished for the night. Tampa playing 5 preseason games this year. In fact, all of them will be on the road, as will their first 2 regular season games while they finish the construction of their new stadium. 3rd and 4. And that is caught at the 45 and close to a first down. We'll see about the forward progress of Carl Williams. But one of the Tampa Bay papers had a great headline today talking about Tampa Bay on the road, all 5 preseason games and 2 regular season games. They said the Bucs begin their Hall of Fame, H-A-U-L.
That's the Hall of Fame, H-A-double-L.
That's a tough way to start the season, but you know, early on in the season, the hot weather teams usually start out on the road anyway.
Well, really, Boomer, you know, when you're playing preseason football, they're all like away games anyway because you got to break camp normally to go play even if you're playing at home.
This is Ellison, and he picks up 6. And yet Tampa's the one exception to that, Dan, in the sense that they actually train within a few miles of where they play their regular season.
I was just trying to make a point, Al.
Absolutely.
You didn't have to throw it back in my face like that.
I'm not throwing it back. I'm just supplementing it.
Thank you. Take a look at this nicely executed play. Jerry Ellison breaking free a couple times here on this series, and right now it's the Pittsburgh defense that's a little bit unsure of themselves, being attacked from a lot of different directions by Tampa Bay.
Second down and 3 from the 48-yard line. McElroy picked up from the Arizona Cardinals, highly heralded when he came out of Texas A&M. Great college career. Cardinals thought they had something special. Boomer, you were there when he came, right?
Yeah, I played with him when he was a rookie, and the one thing that I liked about him was that he was able to catch. He had good hands, and he usually made the first guy miss in space. Now, I wouldn't tell you that he was a real strong up the middle type runner, but he is another one of those athletic modes, much like Warwick Dunn and Jacques Green and Riedel Anthony. So obviously Tony Dungy has something going on here with those guys.
Third down and 1. Bucs up by 3 halfway through the second quarter. And McElroy picks his spots and takes it to the 37-yard line behind a Donald Willis block and a first down for the Buccaneers.
You see how quick his moves are in the hole, and he'll make the first guy miss. He's not going to run over anybody. One of the things about Tampa, I think, is that their opening schedule for the regular season, 3 out of the first 4 are on the road, and they're within their division. And Tampa's going to be in the toughest division in all of football. 4 playoff teams, and they're going to have to really get off to a good start, much like they did last year.
Last year they were 5-0 at the outset. First down and 10. And that is incomplete. There's also a flag down as Mike Vrabel came across the line before the snap. Mike Carey is the official.
I think he got off a little bit too quick on the defensive side that time.
Boy, what a keen eye. Vrabel, a guy who was a defensive end, been moved to the linebacker position, vacated when they released Greg Lloyd, and for the first time in a long time is having to play in a 2-point stance. Normally a guy that gets down in a 3-pointer to rush the quarterback. This is a whole different world now for Mike Vrabel, who's back in the Buckeye State. Great player at Ohio State. Carlos Emmons, the other guy, vying with Vrabel during training camp to try to fill the shoes, I think, that can't be filled.
Right. Greg Lloyd was a tremendous football player coming off the outside for the Steelers. And, you know, these guys aren't quite as quick as Greg Lloyd was and certainly don't have the experience that he had.
First down and 5 at the 32. McElroy. Lloyd, by the way, wound up being let go by Pittsburgh. He signed with Carolina with an incentive-filled contract, and in a sense, the victim of the salary cap situation, coming off a couple of major injuries. They wanted to bring the young guys along, and Greg was going to cost him a lot of money.
And now, he never did come all the way back. He had the catastrophic knee injury, and the reality of it was that Greg Lloyd, as great as he was just never able to dominate a football game the way he did before he was hurt. And that's a tragedy, because he was a Terminator type player. Greg Lloyd, he altered the way you attacked the Pittsburgh defense.
First and 10 from the 25-yard line. Walsh engineering a good-looking drive thanks mainly to this guy, McElroy, inside the 10, touchdown. Well, Leland McElroy with a new lease on life, let go by Arizona, comes to Tampa Bay, knows at the moment he's going to be a backup, but very impressive on that drive, and a 25-yard touchdown culminates it.
You know, sometimes players get in situations where their abilities and their talents aren't used to their maximum. And in the situation in Arizona, we weren't a very good running football team. And I know the emphasis was always trying to run the ball there, but Tampa now, he comes to a team that runs the ball effectively, have a good solid offensive line, and obviously he has the athleticism to get through there and make big plays.
Breaking 3 tackles along the way.
Away.
Tacks on the point after, and with 5:49 remaining in the opening half at Fawcett Stadium in Canton, Ohio, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead the Pittsburgh Steelers 13-3. Fawcett Stadium sits at the edge of I-77, heading
Those are geese,
south
Al.
for the winter.
Those are geese.
Okay.
They don't have geese in Brentwood, do they?
Not that I'm aware of. None that are alive right now. As Jaheen Arnold takes it out past the 10, the 20, the 30, into the 40-yard line. Jaheen Arnold running back the kick.
When we get into special teams like this, especially later on in preseason games, it gets a little scattered. There's a little cluster out there that a bunch of guys are trying to make plays, and they get out of their lanes. The special teams coaches tell the guys, run down in lanes. Don't get pushed out of your lane. Try to stay where you're supposed to be. And sometimes these younger players get a little bit crazy, and they want to try to make a play, and they open up a big seam.
And it's where some 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 of the youngsters on these respective teams will end up making the roster because of their ability to contribute on special teams.
Well, our man Fuamatu Ma'afala is in the game, and he catches the screen pass, and the 6th-round choice out of Utah, who is a lookalike for Jerome Bettis, and even has some of Bettis's actions after the play, is close to a first down, but there's a marker down.
We have a personal foul on the Tampa Bay defense. It looks like it's a could be a face mask along the sideline over there. But Cower was talking to us about Chris. And
yes, let's call him,
yes,
FM.
Right. He had a good scrimmage against the Redskins earlier in the week, and the players on the team really like him. They like his spirit. They like his spunk. And this is the guy, I remember watching him on TV last year. I thought he really played well in college at Utah.
When you look at his name, just keep in mind everything you see gets pronounced.
Personal foul on the defense, number 51, a late hit, and unsportsmanlike conduct, throwing the ball to the player by the ball carrier. Those fouls offset, 2nd down at the dead ball spot.
Fuamatu Ma'afala and Singleton are the guys involved in the penalty.
There's always the one thing that the coaches, they try to get across the players. Play with poise. Yet, you don't want to kind of diminish their fight and their fire, but you have to do that, and players need to realize that when they're in the fire like that.
2nd and 2 up at the 46-yard line. Fuamatu Ma'afala across the 50 to the 46-yard line, behind a David McCann block, and let's go to Leslie Visser.
Al, did someone say McDonald? Well, the Hall of Fame finally did. They elected receiver Tommy McDonald. Congratulations to you. No one had a better time this week than you, Tommy McDonald. What was the emotion when you were finally inducted?
The emotion was awesome. It was overwhelming, What can I say?
I think you did. Well, you played for 5 teams in 12 years. Who had the biggest influence on you?
Well, actually, none of them. They all just kept passing me around because that's too small.
I don't think that was the reason. Awfully impressive for an awfully long time. And, Al, this guy used to go across the middle against the likes of Butkus and Nitschke without a face mask. As you mentioned, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
He does. Tommy McDonald, a long time in coming. A good part of his career, the early part, with the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, as Tommy said, they shot them around as Quinn throws into traffic. It's juggled, and it is picked off by Greg Balisari, the middle linebacker, at the 39-yard line to give it back to the Buccaneers.
This time Quinn threw the ball a little bit behind his intended receiver. And like all good receivers, they're going to reach for the ball, and it gets batted up in the air. And I'm telling you, it's the longest second of the game for a quarterback because he knows that there are guys coming after that football, and we're just praying that it hits the ground.
But from the first day of training camp, Boomer, what do they work on in the secondary? The tip drill.
Right, and even the linebackers work on it as well, as you can see right here.
And here's where it pays off.
Right, he throws a little bit behind, and Balisari does a good job of concentrating on the football here. That's a difficult play by Balisari, but a great play.
The intended receiver was number 48, Mike Cushing, and now Walsh on first down after the turnover throws, and it is not caught, and a flag comes in at the end of the play at the 49-yard line. Bryce Hunter, the intended receiver.
Bryce Hunter, flag on the play.
J.B. Brown with the coverage, and it's interference against Brown.
DBs are always looking for a little bit of an edge.
Illegal contact by the defense, number 27. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
You know, and every now and then they're going to look to get their hands on somebody, as Carnell Lake watches on here. But and that's really going to be Carnell's spot. He's going to be playing corner this year, and he's watching J.B. Brown out there, and he's just wondering, you know, am I going to be able to get away with that?
Well, Carnell Lake, a Pro Bowl safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers, having to make the conversion once again to play cornerback because of that injury to Chad Scott, but at least for the first time he's going to get to work at corner during training camp.
At the 45-yard line. This is Jerry Ellison.
And right now the Tampa offensive line is flat getting it done. They are blowing people off the ball. They're making some nice creases, and the Tampa running game is hammering away at the Steelers.
And they're doing it with the backup backs, Jerry Ellison and Leland McElroy.
Of course, Leland fits right into this whole Tampa system. We were touching on this earlier. At 5'9", I don't know that there's a team in the league that has more people 5'10" and under.
Reminds me of the
Tampa Buccaneers.
Well, the old Redskin, the Smurfs.
Yeah.
If you remember that, I mean, everybody's trying to go to big receivers.
2nd and 2. And it's a first down as Ellison gets to the outside to move the chains. Run out by J.B. Brown. Well, ESPN will have Sunday Night Football this year. And the Espanites will open up with Oakland against Kansas City on the 6th of September. And then our first Monday night game this year from Denver, the Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos, opening at home against the New England Patriots. Sunday Night Football on ESPN, and Monday Night Football with a new starting time this year at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on ABC for the 29th consecutive year. 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line. And it's a beautiful pass caught by Bryce Hunter. Inside the 15-yard line to Shea Townsend with good coverage, with the pass going right into the arms of Hunter.
Really what you want to do here, Al, is let the receiver get on top of the defender and then throw the ball right over the head of the defender because he can't see it. And Steve Walsh does a really nice job. And the other thing that Hunter does well is he doesn't really give the defender a chance to make a play on it because he's not really excited about the ball coming. And it's all a little bit of showmanship, if you will, to make sure that he gets the ball clean.
At the 14-yard line, Walsh guns one, and that's dropped inside the 10-yard line by John Davis, a tight end.
We talked about the athlete that Tony Dungy likes. You know, on a Saturday afternoon and you're watching a football game, you see Florida State, you see Miami, you see the University of Florida, you see a lot of great athletes making big plays with the football. And I think Tony Dungy has realized that, hey, it's all about speed in this league. It's not so much about size, especially the guys that are touching the football.
You can be small if you're durable. And that's the kind of player that they look for. And this Tampa roster is littered with tiny guys, but guys who don't get hurt.
2nd and 10 at the 14. Tampa Bay leading by 10. And back to McElroy they go, and Leland takes it to the 12-yard line.
You know, it's interesting when you talk to coaches around the league, you say, you know, how does your team, oh, we're much faster this year. That's the first thing everybody wants to, oh, we're much faster, we're much quicker. We're getting to the ball a lot better. I mean, and that's what everybody is trying to find. They want the fastest football team on the field.
Team speed. Everybody wants to improve it.
We come to the 2-minute warning at the Hall of Fame game in Tampa, with the Buccaneers leading the Steelers 13-3. Football is inside the game with live action interviews, game highlights, and fantasy football on the web at abcmnf.com.
I'm on the web too, Al.
We're all on the web.
Okay.
Boomer.com?
No, it's esiason.org. Thank you.
Oh, terrific. From the 12-yard line, you've got mail, Boomer, and a lot of it coming. Ellison, a gain of 1, stopped by Earl Holmes.
Earl just delivered a little mail, I think, express.
Now, people wonder why you'd want to run on 3rd down and 8. In a situation like this, you're thinking that the defense is an extremely aggressive pass rushing team. You might be able to run a trap up the middle and split something. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Didn't even come close there, and
No,
Pittsburgh takes a timeout to conserve some time on the clock as Tampa Bay will attempt a field goal, and then Pittsburgh will have about 1:40 to try to move down the field. Michael Husted has made field goals tonight of 23 and 31 yards. Buccaneers, by the way, as we mentioned, spending the entire preseason on the road. They'll go to Norman, Oklahoma next week to meet Kansas City. And then Dungy's team will be heading to Miami, Oakland, and New Orleans. And then they'll open up their season at Minnesota and at Green Bay before opening up their new Raymond James Stadium on Sunday, September 20th against the Bears.
It's gone.
29-yard field goal attempt by Husted is good, and so Quinn's interception leads to that field goal, the 3rd of the half for Husted. And with 1:41 to go in the first half, Tampa Bay leading Pittsburgh by a score of 16-3. So, Boomer, when we last saw you, you were the #1 quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep.
Had to be a tough choice for you to make.
No, it really was a tough choice for me, Al. And, you know, so many things happened in February when I basically signed the deal with ABC that it was a very emotional time for me. And my son Gunnar wanted me to continue to play, and I told him I'm sorry, but he could watch Daddy on TV. And my daughter Sydney wanted me to play, but I thought that this was too good of an opportunity to spend some time with you guys.
You've already had to deal with watching your teammates go away to training camp, a
Right.
ritual that you've undergone all these years. Now you're seeing the first preseason game from up here. Are a little angst here?
Without question, and I've always felt that the older players will always tell you, play when they kick you out when you can't play anymore. But I felt like I went out on top. I felt like my kids and my friends and family saw the good of football the last part of my career, and it was a hard thing. And I had 3 great stops in Arizona, New York, and Kansas City. But it's over with, and now I got to sit here with you guys.
But it had to be nice to finish it up in Cincinnati.
Absolutely. If I couldn't have written a better script.
And on a very high note, as Shaheen Arnold runs back the kick and takes it back out to the 22-yard line.
And what was your record as a starter last year?
I was 4-1. I had a rating of 106.3 through 13 TDs, 2 interceptions. I gained, I think, 32 yards on the ground. Anything else you guys like to know?
No.
Yeah, how much did Blake kick in to have you sign with ABC?
Actually, you know what? Jeff Blake and I are very, very good friends. I hope he does well, and he's had some big years there in Cincinnati. He's got some good people around him, and hopefully things will work out well for them.
Jeff Blake and Neil O'Donnell, the quarterbacks right now in Cincinnati, is out of the shotgun. It's an inside handoff, and George Jones takes it up to close to the 30-yard line, a little short of the first down. They'll go without a huddle.
Oh, we get the hurry-up offense here.
2nd and inches. Coming up at halftime, the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Pittsburgh with 2 timeouts at their disposal, and they convert here. That's a first down. As Hines Ward, a kid who played at Georgia, and he's like a mini Slash because he can throw, he can run, and he can catch. He can play quarterback, running back, or wide receiver.
He's our 3rd-round draft choice this year.
This is great stuff for Pittsburgh because you love to work on your 2-minute drill in games.
And they were doing it with some effectiveness until this point here where Marsh can't hold on, and it's 2nd down and 10.
You find out a lot about your quarterback, his poise, his ability to communicate to his teammates in a duress situation. And really, so far, Quinn looks real good in this situation. And, sometimes teams will go a full preseason and never have a 2-minute drill to practice.
He put that ball right on Curtis Marsh's hands. That was a fine throw by Quinn.
Mike Tomczak handling the chart tonight. Again, Mike with a slight hamstring pull, no problem. Back next week. 2nd down and 10.
I didn't know Tom Zach had any muscles in his body that were that tight.
Might be news to him, too. Quinn throws a very ill-advised pass. It is intercepted by Floyd Young, and the Bucs have it in Pittsburgh territory.
What happened there is Tampa came with a safety blitz, and really Mike should have just thrown the ball away. He threw it up, hoping that one of his receivers would go after it and see the blitz with him, but they didn't see it. You can never count on your other players on your team, especially this early in preseason, on seeing the same things that you're seeing. And that time,
Rondé Barber, the guy that came on the blitz.
You'll see right now, Rondé Barber will come out of the secondary. Quinn sees him. He probably should have just thrown the ball to the flat to the sideline. Ill-advised throw down the sideline, laying it up like that. That tells you something about your quarterback. You know, it's a learning process right now, and you just learned something a little bit about Quinn in that particular situation.
Now the Bucs have it at the 37-yard line with 2 timeouts at their disposal. 47 ticks left. And a 16-3 Tampa lead, and Walsh has to take one of those timeouts right here.
Boomer, we have to keep in mind these teams have been in training camp for just a shade over 2 weeks. That has to be the hardest thing offensively to work out, is the blitz coordination between offensive line, the back staying in to pick up the blitz, the receivers all breaking off their patterns. That takes time.
Yeah, well, and one of the most difficult things is a young quarterback with a young wide receiver who's supposed to break his route versus a safety blitz. And sometimes they don't see it quite as clearly as they should. And now they'll watch the films on Monday, and they'll just be, you know, the coaches will tell them what their mistake was, but they'll feel awful about that. Mike Quinn is not going to be able to sleep tonight because that's all he's going to be thinking about is that particular play. And, you know, that's part of competition. That's a part of, you know, the feelings of playing quarterback. You have to get over that, and when you get your next chance, you got to be successful. He's wondering to himself right now, why did I do that? What was I thinking about? And every quarterback does that.
Sure. First and 10 at the 37-yard line. Bucs up 16-3 in the waning seconds of the opening half. 5-man rush, and then Walsh under duress throws it out of bounds. Hit by Chris Oldham as he got it away.
It's interesting. I'm surprised at how much blitzing we're seeing here in the preseason. Usually, I can't really say it. I mean, it's kind of an unwritten rule. Look, you know, let's just go out and play football. Let's not get anybody hurt. Let's play competitive. We want to win. But usually what happens, once the game starts, all that stuff goes out the window, and everybody just wants to win. They're going to do anything they can to win. Even though it is preseason, coaches want to win. I mean, look at that face. He wants to win.
Well, if blitzing is part of your overall defensive scheme, I guess you have to do it from day one.
On 2nd and 10, Walsh throws it to John Davis. The tight end makes the catch at the 38-yard line. Bucs have 1 timeout remaining, and they are going to conserve that. They're taking a lot of time to get this next play off.
And Earl Holmes having to play a lot of football, considering he's one of Pittsburgh's starting middle linebackers.
3rd down and 10. And that's caught at the 34-yard line. Rob Thomas makes the catch, and now Tampa will have to take its last timeout.
And Jason Simmons came up and put a textbook tackle on. Rookie from Arizona State.
And those are the type of tackles that Bill Cowher loves to see in his defense. He wants his defense to be intimidating. And that's exactly the type of tackle that was. That was an intimidating tackle.
Great tackle. Where did he play college ball out?
Hard-hitting Sun Devil, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, weren't you the biggest free safety in Arizona State history?
I attempted to be, Boomer, and then I realized that the career might be a little bit longer up here, as you will discover as well.
Well, I was able to do both.
Yes.
There is Mr. Simmons, and that was boy, that was just beautiful. High, hard, squared up.
And in the films on Monday, they'll replay that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And a guy like Simmons will sit in there, and he'll feel real proud about that. I mean, and those are the types of things that coaches want to impress on young players. They want them to make them feel good about what they're doing on the field right now.
Well, even though we've got a 4th down situation here, it would be a 50-yard field goal, almost 51. I guess we're going to get a look at this.
They'll spot it at the 41-yard line. Officially a 51-yard attempt upcoming for Michael Houston. Tommy Barnhart to put it down.
Wait!
And the kick is short. And the clock has expired. And that will do it for the first half. Joe Marciano and his special teams unit walking off the field. Good first half for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and of course at halftime we'll have highlights of the induction ceremonies at the Hall of Fame. And back we come to Canton, Ohio after this message from the National Football League and a word from our ABC stations.
And McCarty. And it's a sophisticated football crowd. They're used to seeing good football played in this stadium. This is the home stadium primarily to Canton McKinley High School, which finished the year USA Today's #1 high school team in the United States. So a lot of celebrations here last football season for Canton McKinley. And my old high school, Glen Oak High School, now plays their home games here at Fawcett as well.
New quarterback is Pete Gonzalez out of the University of Pittsburgh.
Pete Gonzalez, head coach, was Walt Harris at University of Pittsburgh, Al, who was my quarterback coach at the New York Jets for 2 years. And I was talking to Walt about Pete, and he spoke very highly of this young man. Extremely competitive, very bright, and has a real nice touch on the arm.
Second all-time in the University of Pittsburgh history in touchdown passes to Dan Marino.
Now undrafted, Boomer, after this play. I want to know why he wasn't drafted.
Tuamatu Ma'afala behind him, and that's Chris with the ball and picking up the first down as he gets up to the 36-yard line. First and 10.
You know, Danny, he didn't have a long career. He really only played 1 year at the University of Pittsburgh, and was given a pro-style offense that they run there and ran it exceptionally well this year. So there wasn't a lot of film on him, a lot of tape on him. There wasn't really a lot of talk about him, to be honest with you, except in the Big East, because he was a terrific player there. And certainly growing up in the backyard of the Steelers, or playing in the backyard of the Steelers, was a natural fit for them.
From the 36-yard line, Tuamatu Ma'afala chugging his way for 6, 7, and then 8 yards all the way out to the 44-yard line.
And much like Mike Quinn, Gonzalez could be a candidate for the practice squad and then to go on play in the World League Europe, NFL Europe, I mean. So there are a lot of options that they can use with this young man, and certainly this is an opportunity for him to play the second half of this game and show what he can do.
And there was Quinn, and you know, you talked about the frustration. Of course, Stewart is the #1 quarterback, but Quinn hoping to get back in the game, standing on the sideline with a helmet and a football.
Well, he doesn't want his last pass to be an interception during a 2-minute drill.
But it might be. Second down and 2. Tuamatu Ma'afala close to a first down, just across the 45-yard line. Tackled there by Marcus Jones.
I will tell you this, that Gonzalez got great coaching at Pittsburgh. You know, Walt kind of reinvigorated my career the first 2 years at the New York Jets. Not the last one.
And then?
But, you know, I learned a lot from Walt and his understanding of the position. And a lot of the things that I believe in now came from those 2 years that I spent with him in New York. So Pete certainly grew up in a nice system for a quarterback to flourish in.
3rd and 1. And they give it to the big man, but FM doesn't get it this time. He is stopped at the line of scrimmage by Marcus Jones.
Tuamatu Ma'afala.
Well, that's 2 of you that can say it. I don't know if I can.
I've been practicing all afternoon.
I like Chris better.
I know one thing we can say about him: tremendous leg drive. Real power from the waist down. Of course, this guy, 5'11", 252 pounds, and if ever there was a Jerome Bettis clone, we're looking at him.
Now the Steelers are going to line up at least to go for it, down by 13 at their own 45 early in the 3rd quarter. And indeed they do go for it. And on a rollout, it's Gonzalez throwing, and it's knocked down. Staying in his zone was Singleton, the linebacker, to knock it down and force Pittsburgh to the sideline with the offensive unit as Tampa takes over at the Tampa 45.
A call you make on August 1st, not October 1st.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers on top 16-3. Scott Milanovic, a man who broke several Boomer Esiason records at the University of Maryland, or battered perhaps is the correct description.
No, how about shattered?
Battered and shattered, and he gives the ball to Leland McElroy for a gain of 2.
All right, let me explain this. He was in the run and shoot, and he threw like 70 times a game. I threw like 28 times a game.
Oh.
So I don't want to hear it, okay?
guy gets a shot here. It's prime time on the ABC television network, and you're cutting him off at the knees?
Well, there should be an asterisk next to those, those records. Come on.
Boy.
I mean, actually, Maryland is the cradle of quarterbacks, though, guys.
You turn on a fellow Terrapin like that?
I didn't turn on him. I'm just saying, there should be an asterisk next to them.
Can't trust these turtles.
You already put one there. Second down and 9 at the 44-yard line. Milanovic trying to win a job. Wide open and making the catch. That's Jacquez Green, a rookie from Florida. And that's a first down. Leslie Visser.
Al, a couple of updates on the Steeler injuries. Punter Josh Miller, who put on 16 pounds of muscle in the offseason so he would get stronger, so he wouldn't endure that tongue lashing from Bill Cowher. He has sprained his left ankle. He's undergoing further x-rays. And wide receiver Henry Bailey, who broke the same leg last year in preseason, has been taken to a local hospital for what is believed to be x-rays on a fracture on his right leg. Al?
Thank you, Leslie. You really have to feel for a kid like Bailey, who would have made the team last year, and they had such high hopes for him this season, as Orpheus Roy knocks down Scott Milanovic.
You have to be heartbroken for Bailey. And this is a kid that is so high on Bill Cowher's list that he just assured him of a roster spot. He just glows when he talks about him, and that's one of the hard luck cases of all time if it actually is broken. We hope that it isn't.
Bill Cowher effecting a beard. He's not certain whether it will make its way into regular season play.
He's had it for a while. It's a little sparse on the jawline there.
Second down and 6, and that is a jawline. Leland McElroy, another big run, and first and goal at the 7. Finally, Eddie Kay tackles him.
Sometimes a player is released, such as Leland McElroy from Arizona, feels like he gets a second chance, a second life, and actually plays better in a new surrounding. And certainly tonight we're seeing that from Leland. You can see he has good feet. He'll usually make a first guy miss. Actually does a nice job of actually running through 2 players there.
We have to admit it's a reminder of the fragile existence that one leads in the National Football League, being as good as your last game.
That's exactly right.
McElroy 7 carries for 70 yards. The last one good for 24. Gets it again. Picks up a yard, second and goal at the 5.
The University of Maryland, guys, is the cradle of quarterbacks, just so you know that, okay?
Excuse me?
The University of Maryland is the cradle of quarterbacks.
I really liked Frank Reich, I'll admit that.
How about Neil O'Donnell? How about Stan Gelbaugh?
Right.
How about Scott Zolak?
Where is Neil O'Donnell now?
Well, right now he's pulling up to my bank.
Isn't he in Cincinnati?
That's right.
Didn't they give him a lot of money to go to Cincinnati?
They did the same thing in New York with him, too.
Maybe you should have majored in economics like he did. Second down and goal at the 5-yard line. Milanovic buying time.
Smart play.
Yep, and then using those Terrapin smarts just throws it away.
That's exactly what you have to do. I don't know if he would have done that when he was a rookie, but certainly now he has a better sense of what's going on. And, this kid has a strong arm. And a lot of people said that he was the second best quarterback that came out of Maryland. Behind Frank Reich.
We're not.
I actually played there so
anything.
long ago they forgot about me, so it doesn't matter.
Bobby Ross just waxes poetic when he talks about you.
Oh, yes.
Third down and goal now from the 5-yard line. Milanovic guns it into the end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown by John Davis, the tight end.
Good job that time by Scott of putting the ball right in the body of his tight end. Down here, we talked earlier, they want it low and they want it in their chest. And that time, Milanovic showed good accuracy, good poise in the pocket, waited for his receiver to pop open, and he threw it right in there, gunned it right in the middle. Well, actually, a little bit high, but good job by Davis catching the ball.
And right now, a good job by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of taking over this football game. Defensively, they have completely thwarted Pittsburgh, and offensively, last 3 or 4 times they've had the ball, they've made it look pretty routine.
Husted with a point after 8:13 left in the third, and Canton, Ohio, where the Buccaneers now lead the Steelers 23-3. looking impressive tonight as they lead by a score of 23-3 over the AFC Central Division champion Pittsburgh Steelers. Andre Coleman and Jaheen Arnold drop back to receive the Michael Husted kick. And a good deep kick, 1-yard line. Jaheen Arnold up past the 20, runs into his own man, and Jaheen gets taken down at the 29-yard line. 8 minutes and 2 seconds left in the third. The Bucs on top by 20. Mike Singletary when we come back. Mike Singletary is in our booth, and in just a moment we'll talk to Mike, who was inducted today into the Pro Football Hall of Fame after his stellar career as the middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears. And the Pittsburgh Steelers take over at their own 29-yard line, 1st and 10, down by 20 points with Mike Quinn at quarterback. So Afala picks up 7. And Mike, share with us your emotions. What was it like for you up at the podium today?
Well, there were a lot of emotions. I was just trying to get through it. I didn't want to break down. I didn't want to do any of those things. I just wanted to get through what I had on the piece of paper there.
So has it settled in?
It won't settle in until maybe tomorrow when I'm driving home.
You know, Mike, you kind of get the double whammy out of all this. Not only are you in the Hall of Fame, but you won a Super Bowl and you played on what many people think one of the 2 or 3 best teams, if not one of the best teams ever in the history of the league, the '85 Bears.
Well, I was very fortunate to play with a lot of great guys. And
you'd have tackled that guy, wouldn't you, Brad?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have happened.
You would have had Andre Coleman.
He's a tough guy. But I was extremely fortunate to play for Coach Dick and Buddy Ryan and all of those great guys that I played with.
You know, you and I had 2 things in common. Well, actually, not in common. I threw you an interception on a Sunday night in Chicago. If you remember, you were screaming at me the whole night, saying, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. And I finally threw you one. But then, secondly, in '86, you came into Cincinnati. We thought we had a pretty good team, and you beat us 44-0. It was the best defense that I had ever played against. I mean, how do you? I mean, that was some team.
You know, first of all, we were just really prepared coming into the game, and I think the other thing is when we got there that day, we were so jacked up, and we just wanted to play well that day, and I think our guys got off to a great start, and our defense played well.
I enjoyed what you said.
Great.
Oh, no kidding. They beat up on everybody.
See, I like guys like you between he and I. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to jump out of the way.
Hey, I'm nice now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Let's go ahead and cover this
take
play
a look
on
at
the
this play,
field.
because this involves Brian Kelly, who is the defensive back out of the University of Southern California. Flag for interference here on Corey Holiday, and that will give Pittsburgh the ball at the 8-yard line.
You know, Al, these defensive players are always looking for an angle.
Oh, come on now. I've seen a new ruling on the quarterback.
Mike, I enjoyed what you said about when you were a kid and you turned on a TV and you saw this middle linebacker playing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
So
what an impact that had on you.
Willie was definitely a great role model for me. Oh, wow. A lot of excitement going on here.
Afala fumbles, and Tampa Bay gets it back.
But Willie Lanier was a guy, when you saw him play, you said, I don't want to, I am Mike, but I'd like to be like Willie.
Yes, when I saw Willie, I said, you know what, I like the way he plays. I mean, he was a smart player, and he really got after it, and he was a team player. I appreciated that.
How about the significance of playing middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears? I mean, that is like one of the all-time best positions in all of sports, isn't it?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, Dick Buckers really set the tone there, Bill George, and that old tradition, all of that tradition there in Chicago. It was a great opportunity for me to really step in and really be able to play that position and play it well.
Mike, you've had a lot of success after football in the business world, but I'm surprised you're not in football. I mean, will you be back in it?
Well, as of right now, we have 7 kids. We have 7 kids, and that takes a lot of time, and I want to make sure that what I'm talking about out there in the business world and that I make sure that I'm doing it at home. So that's where I am right now.
Well, you've always made the right choices. You were a lot of fun to watch, and congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you betcha. Mike Singletary of the Chicago Bears.
You were fun to watch, but you weren't fun to play against. I can tell you that.
A man that we said he missed 5 games in his career, only 2 of those because of injury, the other 3 during the players' strike in 1987. So remarkable endurance and a lot of thrills, and of course the great bulging eyes.
Samurai Mike.
Timeout, Red.
Tampa Bay has to take a timeout here as they try to get out of the shadow of their own end zone, leading the Pittsburgh Steelers 23-3. Back to Canton after this. Esiason and Leslie Visser in Canton, Ohio, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead by a score of 23-3. It is second down and 11. Milanovic is the quarterback, and we take our first look at a rookie running back from Lehigh, Rabi Abdullah, free agent, trying to win a spot, and a guy that Tony Dungy told us last night has been very impressive in camp.
We asked Tony, have you had a nice surprise? Have you seen something from somebody that you weren't expecting? And that was the first player that he mentioned. Abdullah was the first one that came to Tony's mind and said, this kid is doing things I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do, and he's doing them consistently.
It would still be a tremendous upset if he won a job, though, with Warwick Dunn and the way McElroy has looked tonight, and Jerry Ellison. Those are the guys he'd have to beat out. Third down and 5. And Milanovic showing Terrapin smarts and a little bit of track and field acumen as well. Picks up the first down.
You know, there's a real battle going on for the backup quarterback spot behind Trent Dilfer with Steve Walsh and Scott Milanovic, and they actually even brought in Jeff Brom, who's with the 49ers the last 2 years behind Steve Young. So this is a good chance for Scott to go out there and show that he has the full grasp of the offense, make some plays. Now, albeit he's against a second and third team defense, but still, coaches want to see the ball being moved, and that's what they're seeing right now with him.
Good decisions are good decisions.
Milanovic
away,
gunning it. Perfect throw. The catch made by Jacquez Green, and he gets caught from behind by Lance Brown at the 23-yard line.
Tony Dungy wants to see much more of this, and this is one of the reasons that Bert Emanuel, Jacquez Green, and also Riedel Anthony are on that field, because they have the capability to get past the defenders. There's a good throw by Scott Milanovic this time. Nice tight spiral, as they taught us at Maryland.
You're relentless.
Right in the arms of the receiver.
And that's how,
better than that.
And that's how they taught him at Florida. Right?
Well, they're used to doing that at Florida, I can tell you that.
Get open, catch it, and take off with it.
Steve Spurrier has those guys flying downfield.
Well, Green can fly, and so can Lance Brown, who caught him. He was beaten, and then he caught him, and it's first down at the 25-yard line. With 40 to go, third quarter, and the Bucs leading by 3 touchdowns. Abdullah for a gain of 2.
You know, Boomer, you talked about Tampa Bay wanting to work on throwing the long ball. It's not often that you see, maybe never, that a team out finishes 30th in the National Football League in passing, but yet sends their quarterback to the Pro Bowl.
That was the case last year. And look at the recent history of the Bucs. With 30 teams in the league, they are down near the bottom in yards and in points year after year after year. And that was total yardage there.
Total yardage are 29th. Passing, they were 30th.
Abdullah seeks that first down and may have gotten it.
Well, with this newfound speed and young players, the emphasis is going to be placed on big plays. And you have to be able to throw the ball, again, effectively. Now, when you look at the NFC Central with Scott Mitchell, Brad Johnson, Brett Favre, and Kramer at Chicago, you have 4 quarterbacks that are pretty good getting the ball down the field. If Trent Dilfer in this offense can get to that level, this team will be a serious contender for the Super Bowl.
And their offense in tonight's game, picking up 300 yards with still 18.5 minutes to go. The blitz, confusion in the backfield, and Milanovic gets taken down at the 20 by Rod Manuel.
I think we're back to 296.
Flag down.
I think we need to deduct about unless this goes against Pittsburgh.
Every coach will tell you that they'd like to run it and they want to stop the run.
Offside on the defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty. The measurement gives it. First down.
And those are the principles that you want to build your team on, but ultimately you want to be able to have that big play capability.
Well across the line, Rod Manuel. And negating a 4-yard Tampa Bay loss, and instead they get a first down out of it by doing nothing.
At the 12-yard line, first down. Milanovic giving it to Abdullah to the short side of the field. Abdullah takes it to the 5-yard line. Gain of 7. Boomer was talking about the opposition in the NFC Central. One thing, Boomer, they're going to have to do is they're going to have to get better within their division, because Last year, Tampa Bay was 3-5 against their NFC Central opponents and 7-1 against all others.
And really, I guess they've lost 5 times to the Green Bay Packers. And obviously, if you want to win and you want to go on, you have to beat teams in your division. And Green Bay, I would say, is the biggest obstacle right now.
Second down and 3. And that's caught wide open, and into the end zone goes Steve Lee.
And what they just did is what they need to do against Green Bay. You mentioned all those losses to the Packers. In their 3 games last year with Green Bay, they scored 7, 6, and 16 points.
And Green Bay plays 8 men right up on the line of scrimmage against Tampa. So you're going to have to be able to throw the ball, and you're going to have to take some chances. But again, play action, down on the goal line, throwing little flat routes like this. I mean, this is not difficult football to be successful with. And these are the things that I know that they want to incorporate into their offense.
If Steve Lee there looks like a pretty stout guy, it's because he's 6 feet, 265.
And he caps a 96-yard drive after a Pittsburgh fumble. Buch's extra point is good. And Tampa Bay now leads the Steelers 30-3. Salute Val Pinchback, our good buddy, sitting next to Don Shule up in the press box as he was presented with the Pete Rozelle Radio and Television Award, part of the Hall of Fame ceremonies. And there's a Dick McCann Memorial Award that goes to writers who have done yeoman work through the years, and that went to Dave Anderson, the stellar Pulitzer Prize winning columnist of the New York Times and the father of one Steve Anderson, our executive producer and boss here at ABC Sports. And our congratulations to Val and to Dave Anderson as Shaheen Arnold runs the kickoff back and is taken out of bounds. And let's get a word from Leslie.
Al, Bear Bryant called him the best center he ever coached, and his endorsement letter for the Hall of Fame was written by Dan Marino. Pretty good support. Congratulations, Dwight Stevenson. Can you say you're one of 7 Dolphins who've been elected to the Hall of Fame? What did Don Shula teach you?
Well, first of all, I'm very excited about being in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like you mentioned, Coach Shula, he's been a very important part of my football career. He taught me about being focused and, you know, working hard and really setting your goals. And I didn't set my goal to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I really was just trying to be a pretty good football player. And being here today is just a very, very nice thing for me.
You had a short but spectacular career. Did you ever think, boy, if it had been longer?
Well, I think about that. And I would have liked to have played 15, 16 years. But I just really thank God for giving me the opportunity to play in the National Football League. It's been a great time, and it's just great to be here in Canton.
Well, you certainly got it done in the time that you played. And, Al, I think if Boomer Esiason had had this guy and Dan and Anthony Munoz, he never would have been sacked.
No kidding.
Yeah. Be careful now, Leslie. One of my best friends is a center of mine, their next center. Well, actually, you know, I mean, you could say this, but really, quarterback and a center have a very special relationship.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
It's a real hands-on relationship.
It is, definitely.
And we'll talk about it after the game in the car.
You know, Al, one of the real negative memories I have of this job is being in Miami that night when Dwight Stevenson's career came to an end with that devastating knee injury. I know you feel the same way.
On a Monday night, it ended at the end of the 1987 season, and of course we didn't know at that time that he would never be back, but it was that severe. And the picture I have in my mind, Dan, is the same that you have in yours. As on 3rd down and 7, it is caught by Andre Coleman, and that is, in those years, they had carts at Joe Robbie Stadium that really weren't big enough to handle big offensive linemen. And here was this little mini cart in the most ignominious fashion imaginable. This great athlete was being carted off the field.
I see it so clearly in my mind. He was thrown onto the back of that thing like a sack of grain, and they had a nice new cart next year.
They did.
And it's just a shame because Dwight Stevenson played center like no one I had ever seen before.
From the 39-yard line. And taking a shot as a flag comes in, and the pass is incomplete, but paying the price was Harold Bishop.
And that is exactly what the NFL talks about when they say going after a defenseless receiver with a helmet-to-helmet blow.
You cannot lead with your helmet like this, and they're trying to make sure that guys don't get seriously injured. And this is something that the NFL has worked very hard on over the years.
The play is over right there, and that is a helmet to helmet. I'm not advocating this guy being fined. That's not up to me, but I can guarantee you that that'll be reviewed by the league. Gene Washington will look at that.
Players don't make that much money in preseason either, I can tell you that.
That's Chevin Smith. He's a rookie from Florida State, and the officials go around and they talk to the coaches and the players, and not making an excuse for Smith, but he's a rookie trying to win a job and either wasn't paying attention when they told him or just lost his head here.
Well, I think what happens when you're out on the field to play like this, as a defensive player, you're taught to make the hardest hit you possibly can. And these players see a videotape that the league puts together prior to them taking the field, and it shows them how not to do it. And in the course of the game like this, you know, they're so hyped and they're taught to hit so hard that sometimes it's impossible to pull off.
First down, Bishop walking over to the sideline, and Fred McAfee picks up 4 yards.
And the fact of the matter is, guys, the rules have changed. For this game we love, it was played for 7 decades with a hit like that being perfectly legal. Every defensive back across the street in the Hall of Fame got there by making hits just like that.
That's exactly right. And the thing is that I don't think people can really understand truly how ferocious this game is and at what velocity it's played. And when you lead with a helmet that is a weapon, it's very, very dangerous.
2nd and 6. And getting sacked by Steve White is Pete Gonzalez near midfield on what should be the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Now, we were talking about the center. The center is really the quarterback of the offensive line. He is the guy that is making the calls up and down the line. And, you know, when you see Dwight Stevenson and you see a center like that come into the Hall of Fame, you realize just how much they're worth.
3rd quarter is done. 30-3 Tampa Bay. Back after this from our ABC station. Back for the 4th quarter, the offensive production tonight. Tampa Bay with 312 yards, and they have controlled the football and controlled the game, and the scoreboard is indicative of what you see there as well, leading 30-3. Pete Gonzalez back to pass for Pittsburgh, and he hits Hines Ward, and he takes it to the Tampa Bay 39-yard line for a gain of 7, and a lot of Steeler fans here because Pittsburgh not that far from Canton, Ohio.
Well, there'll be a lot of Browns fans here next year, I can tell you.
I guess August 14th is the date next year. Next year's Hall of Fame game, we'll have the Dallas Cowboys playing the new Cleveland Browns. The ownership situation yet to be clarified. Will be finalized about the middle of September. 5 or 6 groups in play and a lot of money at stake.
This is a 4th and 2 play, and that's tipped incomplete. As getting a hand on it was Eric Vance, and Tampa gets it back. So it's been all Tampa early in the 4th quarter. Bucs on top, 30-3. Mike Harry will tell us about it.
No, what we haven't seen tonight is an instant replay yet. And as you were saying earlier in the telecast, the coaches are wearing a watch. You can see it right there on Bill Cowher's hand, on his arm, and that red button, he pushes it, and it's so 90s that the officials now are carrying a beeper out on the field. So he beeps the official, and then he comes over and discusses, hey, I want a replay of that particular play, and away they go.
The booth you just saw is the replay booth. They record it. They'll send it down to that monitor on the sideline.
Sparing no expense for that hood over that monitor.
You noticed that, that was the box that today's footballs came in.
We have fouls by both teams. Illegal formation by the offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. And during the kick, we have unnecessary roughness by number 23 of the receiving team. Only the personal foul will be enforced 15 yards, 1st down. Receiving team keeps the ball.
In the NFL's way of doing things, a big penalty always wins over a small penalty. In this case, a 15-yarder wins out and forced against the Steelers.
Now, we were talking about centers earlier. The Steelers right now have a center on the field for his 15th season, Jim Sweeney, number 66. And he's probably wondering, you know, what am I doing on the field right now? He's got young guys to his right, young guys to his left. And he's saying, all right, guys, let's go. Just make sure you have your men. I'll tell you who you have. And Jim is really one of the smarter players that I've ever played with. I played with him in New York. He was a longtime New York Jet. And was the captain of our football team back in '93.
Well, it's great for guys like Alan Faneca and Tony Orlandini, who are two rookie guards who flank him right now. Faneca, their #1 draft choice. He's number 65, playing right guard. Brom completing the pass that's caught by Carlos King, a rookie out of North Carolina. And Brom goes down, and there's a flag.
Going to get roughing the passer.
That's the best penalty. That's the best penalty in the books as far as I'm concerned.
I bet you do feel that way.
Well, I don't think that Quinn feels that way, but, you know, that's, I'm sure he feels that way, but you go back.
Roughing the passer, number 98 on the defense. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
James Canada, the player for Tampa Bay that flagged for the personal foul. Let's take a look at it here back in Pittsburgh's end zone. Well, he's the second guy to arrive on the scene. And McCarty was the first guy there and had wrapped up Quinn.
Well, this has clearly not been Quinn's night, because we mentioned before that he didn't perform well earlier. He got back into the game, and now he has to come out again, and Pete Gonzalez comes in, the rookie from Pittsburgh. And his pass is caught by Hines Ward. Hines Ward will probably make the team. Rookie out of Georgia. We told you about him before. He can run, catch, throw. Did a lot of things at Georgia. And Bill Cowher told us last night, he said, you know what? This guy's going to make a big play this year on Monday Night Football.
Well, guys from Pittsburgh have been making big plays on Monday Night Football for a long time now. Ever since Bill Cowher got there. What a fabulous record he has on Monday night. The best of any coach that we've had the last half dozen years.
Yep, second down and 4. As Richard Huntley seeks the first down, is very close to it.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Hines Ward is going to have to learn how to block downfield, or his backs are not going to be very happy with him. It's one thing about touching the ball and running with it and being flashy, but there's another part of playing receiver. And you'll watch the greatest receiver in the NFL today, and Jerry Rice, go down and block downfield. And he takes pride in it, and it's something that young receivers should all take notice of. It's a part of the game that they don't like to do, but it's certainly an important part.
From the 39-yard line. Gonzalez throws off his back foot. Nobody's home. Receiver going one way. Shevin Smith, in the meantime, was blitzing.
Looks like 10 guys handled the blitz properly there, and one guy didn't.
Well, you really, the receiver ran a slant in, and probably Pete was a little confused as to what was happening downfield, and he did the best thing, really. Throw it away. You can live to play another day, and don't worry about, you know, incomplete passes. The passes that hurt, obviously, are the interceptions.
Quinn trying to get loose to see if he can come back into the game. There's Gonzalez on second down and 10. Holiday in motion and throws the ball to him. And he gets about 6 yards. You know, when you look at this field, it used to be grass, as you know, Dan, and last year they put an AstroTurf. There are more hash marks on this field than any field in history, because you've got the NFL hash marks, which are the narrower ones, and then hash marks for college football and for high school football, and then there are those little hashes every 10 yards, and those are there to let the pro receivers know where the numbers would be on a regular pro configuration.
The receivers will come out and they'll line up on the numbers, so they need to know where the actual pro numbers are.
Third down and 5. And that's a first down as the catch is made by Jaheen Arnold.
Nice throw by Pete that time. He was, the ball was in the air actually before Arnold actually turned around. So this is a good throw by Pete Gonzalez. It was right on the money. These are the things, again, that the coaches are looking for. Jaheen does a good job of getting up, planting and stopping and turning around. The ball's right there before the defender has a chance to make a play on it.
First and 10 at the 40, under 10 minutes to play. Bucs up by 27. Swinging to the outside and turning the corner is Richard Huntley. Nice pickup and a first down.
Dan, do you remember your first preseason game?
I sure do. I sure do. I remember my first regular season game, too. Take a good look there at Ray Sherman, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, of course, who had to replace Chan Gailey, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who's having his first training camp in Wichita Falls, Texas, where it's just disastrous weather, being over 100 degrees now for well over 3 weeks. The state of Texas in a horrible heat wave.
Cowboys actually opened up last night against Seattle in a preseason game in Irving as Huntley makes the catch and gets tackled at the line of scrimmage.
Of course, coordinator changes. Nothing new in Pittsburgh, Al.
Early on,
4 in the last 4 years?
Well, early on, Cowher had the right guys in place. He had Ron Earhart and Dom Capers, and then in 1995, Earhart stayed, but Dick LeBeau came in for Dom and went to Carolina. Then Gailey came in to replace Earhart. Then in 97, Haslett comes in for the defense, and now Ray Sherman comes in because Cowher was taken by storm. He was shocked when Gailey got the job, as was just about everybody in football.
Well, it happened so fast and so late. The thing about it, that's the price of success. Everybody wants a piece of your success, and that's a.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. Number 64, 5 yards, still second down.
But Boomer, as this season goes on, there will be coaches whose names are in play. Coaches, like Tony Dungy for years was talked about as being a head coach. And Chan Gailey just wasn't one of those guys who was being bantered about last season as a guy that was going to get a great look at a head coaching job. Tony, of course, had to wait way beyond when he should have been hired. I'm sure there's a lot of owners saying, I should have given this guy an interview. Look what he's done.
Tony was a real hot commodity, and it looked like he would not get his chance, but he did, and it's turned out to be a great move as McAfee takes it to the 19. They just extended Dungy, in fact, through the year 2002 as the Bucs got into the playoffs last year, opened a new stadium. It's a whole revitalized organization with the Glazer family and Rich McKay as the general manager, and Tony is the right man at the right time with the right team.
16-16, his regular season record, which makes him by far and away the winningest coach in Tampa history with a 500 one-loss percentage.
Well, he'll be the first to tell you that he inherited a pretty good team. He had a good defensive group of players there when he got there. He just molded the offense to the type of players that he wanted.
Well, remember the whole deal when Jimmy Johnson was in play, and both Tampa and Miami, there was question about Johnson, that he could have gone to Tampa maybe. And everybody knew at the time that Tampa was the franchise that was really set up with quality youth and all the draft choices they had, Al. This is not a shock.
And go back before that, remember, Bill Parcells was ready to take that job, and Hugh Culverhouse, the late owner of the team, says, I feel like I was jilted at the altar.
You're exactly right.
When you look at their defensive line of Warren Sapp, Hanatu, and Culpepper, and Reagan Upshaw, they have some serious players to put pressure on the quarterback.
There's Ifiani.
Israel Ifiani, former 49er, sacking Gonzalez.
And, of course, they have one of the better inside linebackers of all of football, Hardy Nickerson, leading that defense. So that defense was ready to become one of the better ones in football. And all it needed was a good defensive mind like Tony to come in there and straighten that out. And then the draft and some of the free agent pickups that they've made have been terrific.
One thing that surprised me in talking to Tony is that he allows Monty Kiffin to call the defense with autonomy. He does not interfere. And, of course, for a guy that was such a good coordinator like Dungy, that's hard.
2nd and 18. Battle for the ball at the 5, and it falls in.
But you know what he said, Dan? He said he remembered when he was a coordinator, and he wanted to have the control of the defense, and his head coaches would let him do that. So he recognizes that these coaches have a job to do, and he has a job to do. He's going to allow them to do their job, and he'll support them in any way he can. I mean, if you have a title, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, that's what you should be doing. The head coach has got a lot of other things that he's got to deal with. And most coordinators really appreciate a head coach like Tony.
We look at Kiffin from our sky cam.
Yeah, the Pat cam.
It's gone. Gonzalez going to the end zone, and it is out of bounds. Caught by Coleman, but he was on the stripe.
Well, the Steelers still unable to crack the end zone.
Well, that was a pretty good series for Pete Gonzalez. We were going off a little bit on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Pete showed pretty good poise there. He threw a nice deep ball here. The receiver needs to know where he is. That ball is catchable for an inbounds catch right there.
Well, he certainly did a nice job of dragging the left, but the right a good 8 or 9 inches out of bounds.
Well, you need 2 in the pros.
Matt George now to attempt a 42-yard field goal. And George having a good night, so he's taking advantage of the earlier injury to Miller and the opportunity to kick with Norm Johnson getting the night off, and so far so good for this fella. Tampa Bay 30, Pittsburgh 6.
Hear that? See this? Your car's telling you it needs brake service.
That means you need Meineke.
At Meineke, you won't pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
I guarantee it.
The mighty Chrysler.
The 300 idea is the idea of a powerful, responsive, nimble automotive machine.
The all-new 99 Chrysler 300M, the most powerful sports sedan in its class.
As long as I've worked on this engine, I still get a tingle every time we open the hood.
The Chrysler 300M. The technology has changed, but the soul lives on. Lease the all-new 1999 Chrysler 300M for just $389 a month.
Why haven't I seen this before? Did you write this?
Yes, I did.
Where did you get these smashing ideas?
Here and there.
Super. People, meet our new vice president and your new boss. Tracy.
Oh, wow. This pita is good.
When something tastes as good as Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas, filled with all those wonderful things start to happen. Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas feel good.
Okay, pop quiz. At Office Max, you save money on A, electronics, B, furniture, C, everything for back to school. Pencils down, it's D, all of the above. Trick question. Office Max, we go to the max for you.
From the director of Men in Black, a new series about love, fingers, and other things that bite. Bull Bridges as Maximum Bob, premiering Tuesday on ABC.
A program note, tomorrow, live at 2:30 Eastern Time on ABC, the Major League Soccer All-Star Game from Orlando, Florida.
Well, you know what happened, guys? The big guy just walked in the door.
Well, hold on one second. One other piece of business. The NFL Online right there, score, stats, and video, NFL.com. And I'm sure if you tap in, you'll probably discover that Mr. Anthony Munoz went into the Hall of Fame today as the kickoff comes down to the 6-yard line. Jacquez Green brings it back to the 26. And so I guess fittingly, the final enshrinee we'll speak with will be Anthony Munoz, and we'll talk to the great tackle of the Cincinnati Bengals when we come back. These fresh stuffed pitas feel good. And Bud Light, with a great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. The Tampa Bay Bucs in control of the game, leading 30-6 as Abdullah takes it up to the 31 and the 32-yard line. And Anthony Munoz, the great tackle, one of the greatest in history, just went into the Hall of Fame. Anthony, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Clearly, I mean, this is something that is not a surprise. You were one of those guys everybody knew was going to go in, but has it sunk in yet for you?
I want to tell you what I told everybody else. I wish you would have been on the selection committee because I wasn't taking anything for granted, no expectations. But I tell you, it came in a hurry from January to now. It's great.
Have you ever met Boomer Esiason?
This is my guy right here.
Don't let me have a flashback now.
Real
I'll start protecting
how
him.
short you were. You know that?
If I was big as Ed, I'd still be playing.
You know, but Anthony, I was watching the inductions today. Your son Michael inducted you. I mean, that must have been a great moment for you.
That was awesome. I kept asking him all day, "Are you nervous? Are you nervous?" He said, "No, Dad, no, Dad." And I'm thinking he's going to get up there. He'll get a little nervous, kind of stumble through it a little bit. The guy, just like he'd been doing it for 10 years, unbelievable. I was impressed.
Anthony, every Friday of Hall of Fame week, there's the luncheon where all the past Hall of Famers. That's some experience, isn't it?
That was awesome. To sit there and watch guy after guy get up. These guys are in the Hall of Fame. First of all, I was in awe of every guy that stood up, just sitting there staring at them. And then to hear them talk about what it means to be in the Hall of Fame and just the different things about it. I mean, I wish I
You're
had a
getting
nap.
kind of well
Oh, yeah, big time, big time.
Really on behalf of all the Bengal fans, us Bengal players, you're the first Bengal to go in as a player. I mean, that has to be a big thrill as well.
Oh, there's no question about it. To represent not only the Bengal organization, but the city of Cincinnati, and then I had a bunch of big guys stand up, and then to play with guys like yourself. It's an awesome feeling.
I just feel so good standing next to him. It's unbelievable.
Well, what do you think I feel? Another
offense,
an offensive lineman. Everything is right in the world. Another lineman in the Hall of Fame.
Anthony, I think back when you were a great college player, but you had bad luck with injuries, and you missed a lot of time, and then everybody knew, hey, this guy has tremendous potential. I mean, did you feel at one point that you were just a victim of bad luck in college? And how long were you into your pro career before you realized that you were among the elite in this business?
Well, there's no question about it. I felt that, the 3 knee operations I had in college were a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Each time I took a tremendous blow. But I really believe that was a blessing because it got me in the weight room, got me lifting weights and running and getting my body into shape. And, of course, once I got into the NFL, it wasn't until maybe halfway through my career when I said, I might be pretty good in this business. And even then, year 11, 12, I still wanted to improve, and I felt there was room for improvement.
Well, you knew the first time that he met Forrest Gregg, when you threw Forrest Gregg on the ground, actually, when he came out to look at you at USC.
That was pretty intimidating. I knew all about Forrest. Vince Lombardi said he was the greatest player he coached. So he's pass rushing me. I stick both hands in his chest, and he goes to the ground, and I look at him. I go over and I apologize, extend my hand, and he's laying on the ground. He looks up and he goes, that's all right, and he smiles. And
went right home and drafted you.
That's exactly right.
Went home and told Paul Brown, we got to get this guy.
That's exactly what happened, Al.
Now, this is the truth. You were on the Southern Cal baseball team?
In fact, baseball is my first love going to college. When I was being recruited, I was asking the guys, now, can I play baseball if I come on a football scholarship? And, of course, USC had a track record. I mean, all kinds of guys playing baseball. And they let me play. I played 1 year, came away with the ring. In fact, we beat a team that was gold and maize, is it? Like 8-zip.
Not a team in Ann Arbor, was it?
That's it. I couldn't resist.
You and Boomer. No wonder you like each other so much.
But I pitched that 1 year. I pitched about 11 innings, and that was the extent of the baseball career.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Well, Anthony, really, again, I mean, it was a pleasure to play with you. You were such a great example for all of us. And I can't think of a better player, a better person, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame to represent, the game that we all love. And I'm just so happy for you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
I just want to say what you had to say on the steps of the Hall of Fame today about humility and family and everything going on in your life. It's the class of '99 that's going to be lucky next year to get to hear what Anthony Munoz has to say.
I tell you, it was a thrill to look over to my right and look to my left and see you guys sitting over there, guys that were already in the Hall of Fame, and now to be officially in this fraternity of just some unbelievable guys. And, of course, the things that I come away with are the memories of, having to pull Boomer off a defensive lineman and say, Boomer, you're our quarterback. We'll take care of the defensive lineman. You get back and run the offense. But, that's what it's all about. And you know, Dan, I mean, those are the things you come away from with the, from the game with those memories and going out there in 20 below or 90-degree weather, and you come off the field and you're totally spent. And then all of a sudden, 5 years after retiring, to have this happen.
No, he protected my open side, so I didn't have to worry about that. But he did protect the blind side for Kenny Anderson. He did a great job for that as well.
I was just jealous of the tackle eligible. That was every offensive lineman in football, Anthony, was jealous of you getting to catch touchdown passes.
Well, just up the road, my first one, his rookie year, Boomer's rookie year, a little sidearm pass, and I said, oh, my goodness, I better grab this thing. People think that I have good hands, but that actually stuck in my gut.
But he actually did have the best hands on the team. And we played softball in the offseason, and I had to play first base while he played shortstop because nobody else could catch the ball. And after a while, my hand would I'd say, forget it, I quit, I can't play anymore. But
do you know why you're lucky, Boomer? He decided he didn't want to play quarterback.
Right, exactly. You're exactly right.
Anthony, you've been a class
act
from top to bottom. Great to see you.
It's been a pleasure being with you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Anthony Munoz, into the Hall of Fame he goes as we reach the 2-minute warning in Canton, Ohio.
Great.
Top by a score of 30-6, and on third down and 18, Milanovic is going to go deep, but too deep, and the coverage was good, and it's fourth down.
A lot of sadness here this week, Al. The Hall of Fame lost 3 of its members this past year. Red Badgrow, the great Sid Luckman, and of course Ray Nitschke, all passed away this year. And another one of our members is in tough shape, Doak Walker, who suffered a terrible neck injury in a skiing accident he's out in Colorado and watching the game tonight. So Doak, everybody wanted to send along their best wishes to you, and hope that that you're coping as best you can with this injury.
You know, for young football players, and I would consider myself young compared to you guys, the fact of the matter is when you come here to Canton, you do feel the emotion. And any football fan, for that matter, should come here and just see this place, because it really is an amazing place. And Canton is the birthplace of football, and that's why it is so special here.
That kick is fielded by Shaheen Arnold. Boomer, you're so young, as the flag goes down, that Dan and I are going to take you back to the 2 o'clock feeding tonight.
You know, the fact of the matter is when I was playing football, I was old. And I got the TV, and now I'm young again.
Now you're young again.
That's right.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 53, 10-yard penalty, first down.
I was exactly your age when I started in this booth.
Oh, my goodness.
I was 14. Back in a moment.
Hall of Fame game in Canton. Well, as everyone knows, there are only 194 members of the Hall of Fame. We've spoken with a Fab Five tonight. But look who got the best seat at the table. That would be our own Dan Deerdorf, whose bust is next to that of another legend. Well, each player is described in a plaque in glowing terms. The words to describe Dan are intelligence and discipline and consistency, along with speed and size. Al, is that the kind of stuff you see in the booth?
Well,
I thought I had size until Anthony walked in here.
Yeah. I'd say
Speed,
that's a very appropriate description.
Yes, I had speed.
Speed?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
That was then. This is now.
A screen pass here. Fred McAfee.
Thank you, Leslie. That was nice.
I want to know who wears pink to a football game is what I want to know.
Well, Leslie does. We welcome Leslie to our crew this year. She'll do a great job on the sidelines, as she has for years and years now. As second down, Hines Ward never had control over.
And Boomer, if I was you, I would go back in a car other than the one that Leslie will be in, because you might be in for it.
Oh, I hit her with that before the game, and she laughed.
Or a cab. A reminder, Oakland against Kansas City opens ESPN's Sunday night schedule, and then New England and Denver. That is our opener on Monday Night Football. On Labor Day night, September 7th, John Elway and the Broncos, the Super Bowl champions, opening up at Mile High against the New England Patriots. 3rd down and 1 now, and an inside handoff to Fred McAfee, and McAfee takes it up past the 40 to the 42-yard line. There's a key. Some NFL news today, if you did not hear it. The Jets yesterday lost Marvin Jones, the linebacker, to a serious knee injury. Serious enough he'll be out for the season as Ward makes the catch. And today, in the creation of one of the more intriguing pairings of all time, Mr. Bill Parcells has procured the services of one Brian Cox.
Oh, boy, that's going to be great.
Isn't there a training camp right by your house?
Oh, it's right. I can't wait to get over there.
Go,
I'm going this week. I can't wait.
We want a full report in Mexico City.
Oh, it's going to be great.
2nd and 2 at the 49-yard line. Under a minute to go here in Canton, Ohio. Gonzalez to Hines Ward. Seeing a lot of action here. Rather Quinn to Hines Ward.
You know, when you really think about it, though, losing Marvin Jones like that is a huge blow for that defensive football team. Now, they have Pepper Johnson there, who's, I guess, you know, towards the end of his career.
He's older than you, I think.
No, I don't think he is. And and Brian Cox is still relatively young. He's a very active linebacker. It's just going to be a question of how the volatility of Brian Cox fits into New York City. But then again, everything in New York is volatile.
But Marvin, the guy in the middle, the guy that ran that defense, it's going to be a difficult blow for the Jets to overcome.
Yeah, Marvin Jones, I had a nickname for him when I was there. It was Sudden Impact. I mean, he was delivered a blow in such a small space, and that blow was so ferocious that it was an amazing thing to watch a man that weighs about 255 pounds roam the middle and run as well as he did. It's a real shame. That's the second major injury that he has had since he's been with the New York Jets.
And now we're going to see the Jets on Monday night this year. We haven't, they've been on hiatus for a while.
And we'll see them at New England as Parcells returns to New England in what has become a tremendous rivalry. 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. We'll also see Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football twice this year. That was made at the 38 by Ward. The Buccaneers have not played in a Monday night game since 1983.
The color pewter hadn't even been invented last time they were on Monday night.
You know, whose game was that?
Well, we're going to save that for the regular season.
Oh, you are.
We have some nuggets here that we don't waste with 17 seconds to go in a 24-point game.
Bite thy tongue, young man.
But stay tuned when Tampa Bay goes to Pontiac to face the Lions on September 28th in a injury timeout right here. This is Israel Ifiani, who gets shaken up as Quinn repairs to the sideline. Tampa Bay, as we take a look at this right now, as we said, because their stadium is still being completed, they won't open at home until the 20th of September. Then, as you see, at Detroit on ABC, Monday Night Football, September 28th. Tennessee is an ESPN Sunday night game on November 8th. And then we have the Battle of the Bays. This is how far Tampa's come. They used to talk about it being the Bay of Pigs, Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And now it's one of the most attractive games on the schedule. December the 7th, Green Bay going to Tampa Bay.
I did that game one time at CBS in Tampa. I knew the only two television stations in America that were carrying that game. They were the CBS affiliates in Milwaukee and Green Bay. That was it. It's back in the middle 80s. That was not a glamour matchup.
Come full circle right now. Pittsburgh's schedule in the meantime, and of course they're a staple on Monday night, and we'll see them 3 times this year at Kansas City. It's the 3rd or 4th time we've had that matchup in the 90s, and that's been a great one. Then Green Bay goes to Pittsburgh. That's a pairing you don't often see. The Packers and Steelers don't meet very much, but that's a November 9th game. And then the final game of the season will be Pittsburgh at Jacksonville.
There's a reprise.
They actually opened the new Baltimore Ravens Stadium on September 6th in Baltimore. That is both of these teams have very difficult schedules, but they're young, emerging teams, and the NFC Central and the AFC Central are the crossover games that each team has to play. There's a whole bunch of playoff teams on both of their schedules. It'll be a real test. I don't necessarily know that either team will win 12 games, but the team that comes out of it the healthiest will be the most battle-tested and probably the team that quite possibly could represent either of their conferences at the Super Bowl.
3rd down and 1 for the Steelers at the 35-yard line. And Quinn ends a very long night under pressure and getting sacked by James Canada. Coming up next will be America's funniest home videos, except on the West Coast. And a timeout is called here. Tony Dungy, one other note that is of interest we didn't get in tonight. Dungy and Cowher actually were on the same staff together in Kansas City for 3 years under Marty Schottenheimer. And then Bill went to Pittsburgh to replace Chuck Noll, and Tony at that point wound up going to Minnesota as the defensive coordinator, which was a step up from coaching the secondary.
And when you look at the foresight that Dan Rooney had in hiring Bill Cowher at the time was not Tony Dungy in terms of being one of those assistants that everybody was touting as a can't-miss guy as a head coach. And if there is one coach coaching today, as preposterous as this might sound, that you could say could make a run at Don Shula because of his age, only being 41, Bill Cowher is that kind of a guy if he chose to do this for another 20 years.
41 years old in his 7th season. And barring a penalty, the game will end on that play, which is an incomplete pass. Well, that'll wrap it up. A quintet of former stars go into the Hall of Fame, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go home with a victory as our preseason schedule opens in Canton with the Bucs winning it 30-6. Back in a moment.
the spine tingler.
The potential of
Some have predicted, but Tony, you must have been pleased on both sides of the ball.
We really were. I think our guys played hard today. We had some mistakes in the second half with our young guys, but our first two groups were pretty sharp.
We didn't see much of Trent Dilfer. How has he improved?
Trent's doing well. I think he's more comfortable and just more relaxed, and also he has a few more weapons this year.
Do you think you might have a lot of choices at running back?
We will. The running backs did well, and that's one thing we want to get our running game going. Hopefully when we get Mike Allstott back, we'll be even better.
So that could be the real Powerball. Well, of course, you get him again on December 13th down your new stadium in Tampa. Good luck, Tony.
Thank you, Leslie.
Back to you, Al.
All right, thank you, Leslie. A good night for the running backs. Leland McElroy looking good. We know about Warwick Dunn, of course. He'll get Allstott back, and the Bucs a force, obviously, in the NFC Central this season. Next time we talk to you, it'll be from Mexico City 2 weeks from Monday, August 17th, when the Dallas Cowboys meet the New England Patriots. Until then, Al Michaels, Dan Dierdorf, Wilmer Esiason, and Leslie Visser saying goodnight from Canton, Ohio.
Haven't changed yet much.